You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
Hey, I guess we're just going to start the show. Haven't heard anybody
yet. Okay.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Nick. I mean, sure. Let's just go. No, hey, how you doing today? Nope. Good morning, Nick.
Throw us in the fire, Brent.
I mean, does everything work? I guess everything's working.
You always got me?
To find
didn't
out,
get a text. Didn't get a hello. I mean, is Hamby running this show?
Hopefully you didn't listen yesterday.
Hey, Nick, this isn't the newscast. It doesn't have to start at 10 o'clock.
Hey.
We can start it at 10:02.
First of all, because it used to be Nick in the daytime, the human Nick, but this dude's turned over a new leaf right now, and maybe we can't hear him, but I'm not sure if you're aware, Brent, but he's kind of, I don't want to say it's a cleanse, but he's gone through a transformation. If you will. Have you seen this?
No. Oh, well, I saw the haircut.
Well, that's a transformation, right? Because I guess if you wear a hat a lot, which I wouldn't know about it, but if you wear a hat every single day, it can kind of mess up some of your hair, and it can mess up, some the spots or whatever. So he shaved his head, and he's growing it back out. Going to have long, luscious locks, I'm told, for the wedding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he's going to actually grow it out because that's what his fiance wants, which I'm not mad at, man. Because, I can't imagine Nick with, these long, curly locks.
This is going to be good.
I'm not mad at it.
I mean,
you guys got
respect. The fiance wants... how deep can that go? I mean, this is we got to set some parameters here early. How many times do I have to tell?
Happy wife, happy life, man.
Yeah, I know, but it's a long life.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long life.
No, listen, I'm the first one to say, hey, man, stand your ground and do what you want to do. But at the same time, picturing Nick with long kind of curly hair, I'm not mad at it, Brent. I think
it could be good.
I think she's doing him a favor.
She could have a good vision here.
I think she's trying to elevate him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm all for that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Wish she was here to try to defend himself a little bit, but no, we'll just keep talking about him without him.
No, I mean, this is the thing when you don't do a check. I mean, we can't hear him.
We can say whatever you want.
I even told you before the show, I was there's a decent chance some of the stuff's a little screwed up on my end because we're out at the players and transporting it and everything else. But apparently, you want to check on our own? Let's just see if we're Look, we sound okay on YouTube. A little bit delayed on YouTube, but we're happy Friday, Logan. But yeah, I guess we look and sound good. We haven't even told you that we're here at Strings Sports Brewery in Jax Beach. Ronan's here. He's on spring break. By the way, one note about spring break. My goodness, I love it.
Yeah?
Oh, I love it because driving around town, I love when Duval and St. John's and everybody else is on the same spring break, and I think we got that cycle this year. I don't know what goes into that. My wife has taught in the system down in St. Johns County for a while, or did. Now she doesn't, but I don't know what goes into, hey, Duval's here and St. John's is here. We always had to work that out in the sports office as well with the kids, but they're on the same one this year, and I love it because driving up here or driving through town, it's so much, it's amazing. Everybody must, not everybody, but a good amount of people must take this week off because of spring break.
Absolutely.
And it feels like I'm driving around the holidays. There's got to be 40% less traffic in Jacksonville this week because of spring break.
Oh, no. I mean, it's working miracles for everybody. I agree with you. You're not stuck in traffic jams. You don't see a lot of accidents on the side of the road. Life is good right now. I am, and listen, I get spring break's cool. I didn't really have spring break in high school or anything. We didn't celebrate it in Wisconsin because I feel like we had so many snow days.
Yeah.
So the last thing they want to give us is more time off.
So you didn't have spring break?
We didn't have spring break.
Really? Mm-mm. See, we had a winter break and a spring break. We had a February and an April vacation in Rhode Island.
Okay. So, it's like I said, I just think because we had so many snow days where they had to balance out.
They were okay, we know we're going to take them away from you.
Yeah, you kids are getting enough off when I'm ready. But what I don't understand is, I'm not sure if every school's like this, so Ronan's had the whole week off, celebrating, staying up late, sleeping in. It's all fun. He also has Monday off for spring break.
Yeah, the kids, I think St. John's, I say the kids now, mine are off, so I don't really know exactly, but I think St. John's County had Friday off instead. And we're actually doing Committed to the Uncommitted, a presentation with a young man from Paxson on Monday. It will be live at Nimnik Buick GMC, by the way, for our scholarship presentation on Monday. And I was told he's off school, so that must be in Duval. Obviously, has the Monday instead of the Friday. They work like a week's not enough. They got to work that extra teacher's day in.
I'm sorry.
Around
Are
that.
these kids going to Panama City Beach? They need another day to kind of recover from the shenanigans. Like, what are we talking about here? Let's get them back into learning. And I get a giant thumbs up from Ronan. He loves it.
So Ronan's like, I thought this place would be packed by now.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, and I was like, well, Ronan doesn't open for a little bit longer. So we're opening this place up today. And it will be packed. We got NCAA tournament stuff today starting at noon. A great day to come here to Strings Sports Brewery here in Jax Beach. We'll actually be at the Springfield location next Thursday for what will be the Sweet 16 rounds, obviously, of the NCAA tournament. But here we are at Jax Beach today, the beautiful new location we tell you all about during the fall with our Jags Report live show where we host it here on Monday nights. And obviously we've been coming to Strings for the last year plus with this show. Now in both locations. So come on out, have a fun day. Tons of TVs, plenty of food, plenty of drink all day long. And, of course, the Florida Gators play tonight at right around 7 o'clock. And that will be a big one here and all throughout town as they get it rolling. And hopefully from their standpoint, they don't have a lot of trouble with Norfolk State. Though apparently, did you see Norfolk State's a little angry about being as heavy of an underdog? So they got they're bowing up a little bit at being 28.5-point underdogs. I was like, hey, Norfolk State, good luck. But against these Gators, and I'm not a Gator fan here, but against these Gators, you might be lucky to cover that 28.5.
No. And listen, if this is what they need to get a little extra motivation, try to shock the world, then more power to you. But, you are taking on a juggernaut, I feel like, in the Florida Gators right now, so best of luck to you.
Yeah, we'll see. Listen, and my overall thought on round one, and I've got to be honest with you here, I'm going to lean on you.
Please.
I was in the car a bunch yesterday.
I got you.
So I wasn't watching a ton of it.
Yep.
I really didn't see a lot of basketball yesterday. I was paying attention score-wise, but I wasn't watching a lot of it.
Sure.
And my takeaway on the day was a little bit of a dud of an opening round. I mean, it was we didn't get the crazy good games, right?
Didn't see any buzzer beaters.
We did get McNeese beating Clemson, kind of ruined a little bit of my bracket there. The Kansas-Arkansas game was a good one, ruined my bracket a little bit there. Georgia forgot to show up for the first 10 minutes of the game and was down 27-3. Ruined a little bit of my bracket there.
Sorry, Hamby.
I mean, I sucked.
Oh, well, Brent, I mean, listen, I'm not sure if you listened yesterday, but I kind of compared to filling out a bracket, kind of like, being a fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars, where there's hope, right? Like, you filled that bracket, and then there's hope, and then usually it's going to, a couple games into the season, it's going to be like, oh, no, what have I done? Well, look no further than game number one of this tournament where it was Louisville, where I had them going to the Final Four, and they decided, you know what, we're just not going to show up for this game. And listen, that was my mistake, right? Because I didn't watch I didn't watch a lick of Louisville basketball this year. I'm just thinking, okay, I feel like they're a little, underappreciated, maybe a little underseeded. Let's see them make a run, because there's always that one team I feel like that, the 4 or 5 spot that makes that run.
Oh, yeah.
And I picked Louisville to do it. And unfortunately, that came back to backfire in my face. And more unfortunately, this is the first year that my son is taking part in the brackets as well. And, I guess kind of taking after his old man who, when it comes to sports and competing, is OCD to the max, where now he's letting me know about it every single hour about how Louisville is not going to the Final Four anymore. Brent, we were shocked by your picks yesterday.
Oh, really?
Because we always thought that, you're the guy that goes against the grain.
Yes.
You want to stay outside the box. You don't go with, all the contrarian picks. Did you have 3 number ones?
I did.
In the Final Four? And you have Auburn winning it, the top overall seed.
Yeah. Well, I thought actually having Auburn winning it would be a little bit of an upset around here.
True.
So that was a little bit of my tactic there.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's funny you say that, and I ended up with chalk at the end of the day, but I actually had... I almost went with Houston in this whole thing, and then I changed my mind, and I was like, all right, I'm going to play into the whole SEC is really good, because we kind of kill the SEC sometimes, right? And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to play into this card.
Sure. Okay.
And I go Georgia to not only win yesterday over us, because I knew everybody was picking Gonzaga.
Of course, yeah.
I have them
the hot name.
I have them beating Houston in round 2.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy in.
Yeah.
Screw you, Georgia. Then I'm going to go, you know what? A lot of people talking Clemson's pretty good. I know that 12 versus 5 thing.
I had Clemson going.
I'm going to have Clemson going into the Elite Eight.
Same.
I'm going to take Kansas, who is like number 1 in the country to start the year, by the way, and then falls off. And I'm like, well, you know what? Self's a good coach. They obviously have the goods to be able to be talented enough to compete with anybody, but they
press conferences saying, they're not appreciated.
Yeah.
They're going to rally behind all the criticism and show up.
They get a new life, right? And then they go on a 7-seed run like Kentucky and the UConn did at one time over the years.
Yeah. Tale as old as time, Brent.
And they turn it over 6 times in the final 4 minutes and don't make a field goal.
Thanks for stopping by.
Joke.
Thanks for stopping by.
They're out.
But also,
so I know I had chalk at the end of it, but to be honest with you, I just lost 3 Elite Eight teams I think I did yesterday in round 1. So I didn't have as much chalk as you guys think I did.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
I did get Drake, though. It's just what a feeling it is.
I had Drake, too.
When you get like an upset bid, right? And you get one of them, you're like, euphoria. I got Drake over Missouri, who, by the way, a lot of people picking Missouri, Hamby, to go a long way.
SEC bias.
And that didn't happen. Drake ended up getting the win.
Yeah.
So it does feel good when you get one of those 11s and you get it right.
That's all I'm clinging to, because listen, this is, we talk about the bracket challenges and everything. Like, very rarely do you get all 4 teams in the Final Four. So when my Louisville Cardinals, I'll say my Louisville Cardinals, when my Louisville Cardinals opted not to show up and take me out of one of my teams being in the Final Four, I almost threw my bracket right there, Brent. I'm like, all right, 1 game into it, we're all good. Time to go home. Time to watch some hockey. But then I remember, okay, just let's relax a little bit.
You do have to relax.
Calmer heads got to prevail. And Drake was kind of my saving grace, because I have Drake going to the Sweet 16 actually. So.
Oh wow, good.
Yeah.
But so what I've learned a little bit is I like those early upsets, but chalk ends up getting most of the time the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, maybe a 4 gets to that Final Four. So it does look chalky in the Final Four realm.
Yeah.
But actually, my bracket wasn't that chalky. I was with you, too. I had Louisville because I couldn't believe they were 10th ranked in the country and an 8th seed. So I'm like, well, they got something to prove. Well, guess what? They looked like the 8th seed, not a 10th ranked team in the country.
Seed, for sure. Let me ask you this about Bill Self, in Kansas. Obviously, very high expectations this year. They went in the transfer portal. They spent some money, brought some big-name players into their program. A lot of hype in the offseason, and obviously ends up being just a horrible outlook, a horrible look overall for Kansas. Like, does a season like that put a coach on the hot seat? Like, do you think coaches in basketball have shorter leashes than coaches in football? Because I feel like because to me, I think Kansas is kind of like Alabama or Georgia.
No, they are.
I mean, it's Kansas basketball. It's Rock Chalk Jayhawk, right? Like they're a basketball university. So if you have a season like you just had, boosters, presidents, are fans kind of calling for Bill Self to?
I'm not going to sit here and claim to know exactly how the makeup of Kansas is, but I think you bring up a good point in today's landscape. There's 2 different things. One, forget the coach for a second. When you're CEOing this thing and when you're organizing it like a pro organization because you have money to play with, and the Kansas of the world and everybody else has this pool of money to actually say we're dedicating this to basketball to buy players, right? I mean, that's what you're doing. And it's a 1-year deal. These aren't 2-year, 3-year deals. These are 1-year deals. So at least in that vein, you're not stuck. But let's take Kansas and let's take Florida. So you take Kansas, who is number 1 in the country to start the year, and you've got Florida outside the top 25 to start the year.
Yeah.
Well, if you now look at your
controversy too with their coach and everything.
Well, true. They had all that.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
But if you look at how you put your team together, how you utilize your cap space, if you will, in that this NIL world, Kansas, to me, looks like they flopped on it. They missed. And when you're spending it's like you're taking free agency, and that's what you're relying on. Very few homegrown guys. Now you're relying on just a team of free agents. Well, that can blow up in your face.
Yeah.
Well, and then you take the parts and pieces of what Florida did, and you're like, wow. What a job building this thing, right? From what they had to what they added to the chess pieces that they needed, and they've got every part now, it looks like. So I just think it's a bit the nature of today's game. When you're spending this kind of money, you're going to swing and miss big time sometimes, and maybe Kansas did that. I don't know all the inner workings of what they spent, who they had, all that stuff. I'm not familiar enough with them, but we know this Florida team, it has been crafted in an excellent way by Golden. Like, as good of a coach as he seems like he is, you don't really say that right away. The first thing you say is, what a CEO. What a job building the roster that he did. What a job as a GM he did. So that's one story. And who's going to build better than the other guy? And I think we're going to see big-time swings and misses, and we're going to see big success stories from teams that nobody had a clue would work, but did work, like Florida, to this extent. I mean, seriously, they were outside the top 25 at the start of the year. This day and age has made preseason polls like just stupid.
Oh, no,
I mean, just ridiculous. Look at Florida State in football last year, and look at Kansas this year in basketball.
Well, the entire Big Ten conference, I think Wisconsin was picked to finish 9th or 10th, and Michigan was picked to finish 7th. And those two teams were in the Big Ten championship. So it's like, there's no rhyme or reason.
Impossible.
There's no rhyme or reason to preseason polls.
So let me go. The second part of that is on Bill Self.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to ask the question, if he doesn't do well again, is he good in this realm? Is he good in this landscape? Are you good at this part? You are a very good coach. You are a good motivator. You're a good recruiter. You are good at probably sliding a couple of guys when everybody's not sliding a couple of guys, right? Like, that's the way that world works. You were good at yesterday's world of building a basketball program. Are you good at today's world of building a basketball program? And I'm not telling you that Bill Self is bad at it yet, but I think we're going to start to look at guys and say, all right, that was yesterday's game, man.
Yeah.
Bill Self, not today. And he might be a candidate for that, but not every old guy's going to look at Rick Pitino and what he's doing. Look at Tom Izzo and what he's doing. Yeah. So I'm not telling you the old guy can't figure it out. I just think it's a new measuring stick now, and I think next year will be important for Bill Self to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a new wrinkle, right? It's almost like, if you look at John Calipari, like he was maybe ahead of his time a little bit, where he didn't have the NIL, but he always seemed to get like the big name recruits there, and maybe on one and done before they go to the NBA. And now he's having some success at Arkansas as well. Yeah, I just think with Bill Self, it's, and maybe basketball, it's a little more lenient, but I just feel like it's what have you done for me lately, right? And like, for instance, like Alabama football. If you have a couple, like I don't want to say lose, but if you lose 4 games in a season a couple times, best of luck to you. There's somebody else in there. Like it's not acceptable. And I almost feel like that's the model, if you will, of Kansas basketball, where it's like, look at how much we invest. Look at what this university is all about. Like if you aren't getting past the first round, if you aren't competing for Big 12 championships, then what are we doing here?
Yeah. So do you think a team like Kansas, like a program like Kansas, is in danger of slipping away if they don't figure out this landscape? We're looking a little bit at North Carolina now. They've got a second wind. A lot of people didn't think they should even make the tournament. They should fire. They should move on. We're seeing, like, Indiana's a weird one because Indiana hasn't done great at times, even in, like, the yesterday landscape of sports. But do you wonder if a team like Kansas, what if they don't figure it out? And now they're not, I know they're like blue blood, but are they really going to be good for the next 5 years? Should we count on teams like that? Do we even know yet? I think there's a curiosity there because what I've always said is you can get a St. John's who's been irrelevant for 30 years, and the guy from Body Armor goes in and says, I'm going to spend $7 million or I'm going to send 7 figures on this roster to help you rebuild St. John's. And look what they're able to do. Well, you can be Texas El Paso and find the oil guy to do the same thing. Like, before we know it, we could blink in 3 years and Texas El Paso is better than Kansas every year.
Yeah, I just think that the Kansas brand is way too big to fail, right? Like I think there's some universities like Duke, like Kentucky, like Kansas, where regardless if you have an off season or not, like they'll find a way. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be with Bill Self or not. Like I think his resume has earned him at least another opportunity to take a crack at it and say, okay, this was an anomaly. We'll get the better guys in here. I'll coach better, and we'll get Kansas back on track. But I don't think Kansas is going to go to the back line of irrelevancy anytime soon. I just think in terms of resources, in terms of branding, in terms of like what that university is all about, I just think that they're too big to fail.
Yeah, and I would agree with you, I think, because here's the deal. If Bill Self can't get it done, you're going to go get a top-notch coach that can get it done in there. Todd Golden's going to go there from Florida, right? Like, hey, come on over to Kansas, one of the best places, right? So they'll find the guy who can get it right most likely, and they'll spend the money, and they'll eat the money, all that stuff to be able to do it. it. I think most likely. But it's just an interesting. I just think it's fascinating. Where what St. John's is a great example. They said, "Hey, we're going to go get Rick Pitino. We don't really care about all the indiscretions, everything else. He's a great coach, which he is. He's one of the best coaches of all time in college basketball. And then we're going to go get this money and we're going to put it behind it, and boom, just like that, we're here. You can do that at any school. I mean, honestly, you can do that if UNF found a billionaire to help them out. They could probably do that right here at UNF. I mean, if they wanted to. So that's the landscape today. It's how much do you want to play ball?
Yeah, and that's the beauty with basketball, too, right? It's less players. Like football, I feel like it's a little more complicated. You can spend a lot of money, and you can get, other people coming in with you and spend that money, and you can get a lot of players, but, it's still 11 players on offense, 11 players on defense. We talk about a basketball, all it takes is one player to change an entire program around in basketball. And football can be saying this, said the same for quarterback position, but I just think basketball, it's even more influential, where if you're willing to fork out the cash and get that blue chip guy and he works out, well, now your team's, tournament eligible and you can make a run.
Hey, as we were saying this, and I'm sure this popped up because we mentioned Louisville. Yeah. Here's a headline on 3 Sports. Louisville is prepared to spend $8 to $10 million in the transfer portal for next season's men's basketball roster.
Well, go ahead and make it $8 million and some change, because you owe me money for my brackets that I signed up for that are probably not going to be winning now because your team got beat. That's crazy. 8 to 10 million, huh?
8 to 10 million. That's the money floating around there in college basketball. You want to be good. And listen, Louisville, it's good. They want to be good in football. They want to be good in baseball. They want to be good in everything. But basketball, man, you got to be good in Kentucky and basketball, right? Mm-hmm. So that's real life. That's a headline that you would not see 2 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. They might have been spending a couple mil anyway. Yeah. But they weren't headlining it. $8 to $10 million in the transfer portal. Again, for not a lot of players. So these guys are about to get paid, but you better get it right. Just because you go spend doesn't mean it's the right player, doesn't mean it's the right mix. And obviously health still is a big factor in all of this, that you've got to be able to survive those scares.
Do you still consider Louisville one of the elite basketball programs in terms of brand? If you make a list, Brent, of the top 5 brands, I guess it's totally subjective. Yeah. Right? But give me
They're not on the top 5.
Not in the top 5. No. Okay, yeah.
I mean, if I think of the top 5 brands in basketball, I'm still going I do think Duke and North Carolina and Kentucky. Yeah. I think Kansas actually is right there.
Kansas is up there. You go to Gonzaga or not? Nah,
not yet. Yeah. I still wonder if even brand-wise in basketball, if UCLA is still right there based on their rich history. Sure. But I think you could even go to a Michigan State or somebody. And we're going to leave some out here, right? But of course. That's where my mind goes. Mm-hmm. Now, how far down to get to Louisville, I'm not sure. I don't even know if it's in the next 5, but it probably starts to get a little close. You mentioned a Gonzaga pretty quickly. Yeah. Gonzaga, to me, is above Louisville in my mind, and I think in a lot of people's minds. That's wild to think. I mean, Louisville has a rich history in that state, and Gonzaga, in a 20-year span, has really passed them over as a brand. Is a debatable thing at the very least. Sure. Now, I don't think Gonzaga is spending $8 to $10 million though on a roster. I would say that maybe they are, but I don't think they are.
I wouldn't say they are, but when you think about, and once again, I think Louisville, they have football, right? They have baseball, but they've always been more of a basketball school to me. Yeah. Just to be honest, and obviously Gonzaga, I mean, they are a basketball school. Yeah. That's their identity.
And more teams have been able to morph basketball and football together, and I think that's why there's got to be a reason why the SEC has gotten so good in basketball, and it's got to come from some of the dollars that obviously trickle down through football. Isn't that has to be the logical tie in there, especially in today's NIL world, where you can be hey, we're getting $100 gazillion for football and everything else, and the SEC network. That's a domino effect to, hey, now Florida, you've got a little bit more of a pool of money to play with on the basketball world, right?
No, absolutely. And you know what I found interesting, speaking of NIL and just paying players and everything now, you probably didn't, if you weren't really watching a lot of the games. So this commercial was very prevalent in every single game that I watched. They played it multiple times throughout the game. So it's basically it's kind of like a PSA announcement saying, if you lose a bet, don't go on social media and go after the players. And I thought that was really interesting. Yeah. It was the first time that I've seen something like that.
Interesting.
Which makes a lot of sense. But then I guess it begs the question, And I get, you're trying to protect your players, as you should, right? Because I get it, these are still collegiate athletes after all, and I'm sure they get a lot of scrutiny online, especially with tournament time. Everyone's got an app now to place a bet, and people want to, be in their feelings about it if they lose. But almost like having the NIL now and getting paid and making, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, but making thousands of dollars as a college athlete, like, I feel like you almost sign yourself up for some of that scrutiny now online. I'm not saying it's fair.
Yeah, I think you do. You've gone into that professional realm where, like, hey, a Carson Beck, right? You're going to open yourself to scrutiny if you're getting $3 million to play quarterback and your Lamborghini's getting stolen and things like that.
Brent's going to have all types of stuff to say about it.
Well, I'm just saying, like you're going to be a headline, like for more than throwing touchdowns or interceptions. Mm-hmm. We already have seen this even before NIL because of betting in sports, and people get really mad and they're losing money on it, and so they're going to go after a kid. We would see that no matter what. I do think like this, though. Like, if you look at some of the gambling, sure, they have to be able to say, hey, if you have a problem with gambling, dial this number. And they should be doing that because they should. I mean, they're promoting it so much that they should also at least have a responsibility to say, here's an outlet if you're in trouble. Now, does that work? I don't know. They still want your money. But I also do think I like this idea of some decorum in sports, where it's just become open game. We just talked about this earlier this week with the Players' Championship, and like, you feel this freedom as a ticket buyer, as a sports fan, as someone invested because you're on an app and putting a wager on it. Yeah, that there's no holds barred for yelling at a player when you do it, how you do it. And maybe there should be a little bit more of this, not just around the NCAA tournament, but in our sports world in general, to say, like, hey, you can have fun. There can be some ribbon going on, but there's also a line you can cross, no matter, even the professional athlete. True. Where we could try to clean. I don't know if that's going to work. I'm just saying it's not a bad effort to be able to have a decorum about how you're getting in guys' mentions and everywhere else because you got mad because you made a bad wager.
Of course. And listen, I'm not mad at it at all. I mean, I think, like, if you can help, especially college, like, I feel like once you get to the pros, and like, it's not red at any level, right? Like, if you lose $10 in a parlay because somebody dropped a pass or didn't make a basket, like, I think you have some issues if you feel you need to go after that athlete and let them know about it on social media. But it's another thing to be in college, because I try to think back when I was in college, and if I had the hundreds of mentions saying, "Oh, you airballed that three," it's it's like, what do we, I don't know what I would do. I really don't know. Now, once again, if you're throwing maybe $1 million in my bank account, maybe I can handle a little more. But just knowing where I was at my life in college, whatever grade you want to say. And to get a bunch of scrutiny, like, on Twitter, like, that would be difficult, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's comes with the territory to a degree. Mm-hmm. And by the way, what's the delineation? There's an assumption now that everybody's getting paid. The guy that you're railing on that came off the bench and he's the 8th guy, I mean, might be getting like an extra cheeseburger at McDonald's.
I'm literally just trying to pay my rent and like go about my life.
Not everybody's getting paid. Like there's always this perception in sports. Like if you're a pro athlete, that you're a pro athlete, you're rich.
This is
right?
very true.
Like now we're getting to that point. It's like, oh, you're a Division I basketball player. You're getting paid. Well, that's not necessarily the case everywhere, and the amount of that money is very relative. So, but I think we as a perception kind of like group it all in as one. The guy making $750,000 is the same as the guy making $10,000. Well, how do you delineate that? How do you say, okay, well, we should really hammer the guy getting $750,000.
Well, no, for sure.
But not so much for the guy getting $10,000.
And but also at the same time, too, if you are Carson Beck, you're pulling up in a Lamborghini, then you're probably making a little more than
you're showcasing
the minimum. Which, and by the way, too, and that's another thing, speaking of him, and we don't need to get into it because I really don't want to get into it, I guess like him and his girlfriend split up.
Yeah.
But, like, I was surprised how we treat that now like it's, like, the Kardashians. Mm-hmm. How it's, like... I mean, this was like, on, like, major sporting, like, websites.
Yeah.
Like, cars, and, like, the...
I don't know, because I don't watch TMZ and stuff, but or those entertainment shows. It might have been on that. Because, like, she's a big influencer.
I think I don't even know the story. Yeah, her or her sister, one of them released a video kind of explaining the situation. Yeah. It could have been her sister, could have come into her. Who knows? The old switcheroo. But like that video was on, like, I saw it on Sports Illustrated. I saw it on the ESPN cover. I'm just like, it's personal stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess like now we put these kids in such pedestals where this is what gets all the clicks and the likes.
Kind of throw themselves into the headlines here.
That's insane.
Hey, the headline is Day 2 of the NCAA tournament. What will be the best game today? We'll take a look at some of the games as we continue on, and already we've got a star of the NCAA tournament. We'll talk a little bit about that, and let's get some football action as well. There was a story this week I don't think we hit on yet throughout the week that was kind of interesting, floating around, has a Jags connection to it, not necessarily here in Jacksonville, but a Jags connection to it. This might be the least we've talked about the Jags over a 5-day period, like in a long time. The NFL is a little bit on a lull time, which is also okay, by the way. But it's a little bit of a quiet time after free agency. Those moves get all made now, like at week, and very few people get signed the week after, or the week after that, or the week after that. So now it's just on to the draft and everything else. So we'll talk more about the NFL. Shock your mock, send them in. You got the weekend now to really, so we want to try to kick this off Monday. I mean, maybe it'd be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere in there, but get your Shock Your Mock things done. And
PFN, by the way.
PFN, Pro Football Network.
Yep.
So Pro Football Network, we will build the segment, and we'll have a few weeks of Shock Your Mock. We're going to pit one against the other, and then we'll have our own little bracket on NFL Draft Week as the Jags get set to pick number 5, and that will be in Green Bay. But you got to get in Shock Your Mock 2025. Obviously, there'll be some prizes and everything else. We're just giving out prizes left and right around here. We did end up with 120 in the bracket. Did you see that?
That's what Hamby told us.
How about that?
That's insane. Yeah. Those are good numbers.
I tell you, I told you it was a walk-up crowd in Jacksonville, man.
Walk-up crowd, man.
We got it done. Have a good. I think it'll be a pretty good prize pack.
Yep.
We raise the ante on the prize pack when we do that. Speaking of anteing up a little bit. One of the good places as well right here you can watch at Strings Sports Brewery. Also stop by at the NCAA tournament and best bet any of the locations in Jacksonville and St. Augustine and Orange Park as well. And they've got their Clockwork Cash Out game back, 6 p.m. until midnight. If you're playing a game, every 15 minutes they're going to randomly pick someone to give $300 to. So that's what's going on down at the Best Bet Poker Room on all the different locations, 6 p.m. until midnight. Tonight you get that. Check more out at bestbetjax.com. All right, we'll take a break from Strings Sports Brewery in Jax Beach. Come on by and say hello. Get your day started early. Come on over for some lunch and some basketball. And it's a Brent and Austen show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jag Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament, but this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, you can take 10% off any water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Action Sports Jax is the biggest brand in Jacksonville, and we're excited to add another partnership for this team's biggest season yet. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is now the official streaming network of the Jacksonville Sharks for their 15th season.
The Jacksonville Sharks are your champions.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Strings Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Strings Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need Strings Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Strings Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
A bump shot. Is it from the College Football Hall of Fame? I like it. There you go. I don't think Norfolk State is on there. Mr. Pico says, go Norfolk State. Obviously not a Gator fan. He's an Knowles fan, if I'm not mistaken. A good comment today by Mr. Pico. Who is Trayvon getting traded to today? Did you see, what did I see recently? I saw, that Chad Forbes guy.
Yes.
He can be hit or missy.
Did he get hacked? Because all of a sudden he's like Team Jaguars now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was very complimentary about Gladstone. He seems like he's kind of like on board with the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is not of character for him.
I don't know. I don't know his whole deal, so I'm not really sure. But I just see sometimes I see people like, he doesn't know anything, and then they are on board. So I don't know, but I thought I think he did say something that was pretty interesting to me. He's like, obviously they're floating. Again, he's taken the report from Walter Football, whatever, as gospel. But
yep. And here's just real quick. So he said James Gladstone may be 34 years old. The coach is bizarre. The coach is bizarre, but he knows ball. What's going on in Jacksonville deserves a follow. On the right track for the first time since Tom Coughlin's first stint. Analytics meets football guys in all the right ways.
Yeah, he obviously must know somebody in there, so he's pumping them up.
And then, by the way, too, he also spoke on, and once again, Chad Forbes going on the Jaguars. The Jaguars have a lot of logical trade candidates. Floating Trayvon Walker's name could drum up some interest in other players. players Jaguars could listen to. New regime is turning over this roster. Travis Etienne, Gabe Davis, Ezra Cleveland, Luke Fortner, Eric Armstead, Devon Hamilton, Devin Lloyd, Chad Muma, Monteric Brown, Jarian Jones, and all safeties not named Eric Murray. But trading Trayvon Walker makes 0 sense. Despite national perception, Walker is an ascending stud with back-to-back 10-plus sack seasons.
Yeah, so that's really what I was getting at. I thought it was an interesting. I think he put it in the context, or somebody else did maybe, that it was like they floated Trayvon's name, and when you float Trayvon's name or somebody else, they come say, well, you can't have him, but maybe you could have these guys. Is that a way to? I don't know that part of the game. I thought it was an interesting concept where it's like, hey, we'll say this. But really, we ain't trading Trayvon Walker. We're trying to get you in the door to say, hey, what do you think about Gabe Davis? What do you think about Ezra Cleveland? Like, what do you think? Because as you remake the roster, I don't know if that's part of the game. I just thought that was an interesting view as part of the game. And quite frankly, I would sit there and say, especially at this time, now you do have the draft, so if you're going to do it, you've got about the next month. The only other time to really trade is late in training camp or around training camp, because you can still get those veterans that are getting cut around Labor Day to add to your roster. So there's 2 more windows here, in my opinion, where you could potentially make some moves. Now, most of these aren't going to be blockbuster moves, in my opinion, unless it's like for a big-time player with a draft pick or that kind of thing coming up in April. Yeah. So is there a player that the Jags could trade right now that would have, again, we don't think Gabe Davis carries a lot of value, although I would say his cap situation isn't terrible, depending if a team wanted to take a chance on there's more upside and last year was just a down year. Ezra Cleveland at left guard, why would the Jags get rid of a guy like that? He actually played really well, I think, last year for the Jags for the most part. He's at a reasonable price. Like, there's no reason to open up another hole.
Well, and to be fair with Gabe Davis, like, what'd you get for Christian Kirk? You had the 6th for him, or was it 7th? Christian Kirk.
I think they ended up getting a 7.
A 7. Are you getting higher than that for Gabe Davis?
No, I mean, again, it's more contract friendly.
It's more contract friendly. He's younger.
He's younger, like, he's 25.
But what is
no, I can't imagine.
Like, it's hard to imagine that. So,
I'm not advocating. I'm just wondering.
No, exactly. So like, honestly, and once again, it all depends how Cohen and Gladstone feel about him. But I can see it because. Here's how I look at this, Brent. Like, yeah, you can say it could be Gabe Davis. It could be maybe Ezra Cleveland. But, like, to me, like, well, what are you going to get for capital? Like, what players on this roster can actually garnish some capital? Yeah, Trayvon Walker could. But once again, doesn't really make sense from a standpoint of he's young, rookie contract, ascending player, important position in the edge. Like, to me, I'd be asking, like, 3 first-round picks for the guy. And that's not going to happen. So, like, what are we talking about? But I think a guy who could garner some interest, number 1, at the position, but number 2, give you some draft capital, is Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I think he is a guy, and that's a name that you get mentioned. Do they want to get rid of him, though? Like, do they want to replace that? It really feels like Liam Cohen has an affinity for these 2 backs. I'll just go back to, you said it. You kind of teed us up for this. Listen to who they're saying, and if you go back, that's really worked out. Like, that was really good advice.
Didn't say Evan Ingram, by the way. Remember that?
Ingram didn't say Kirk.
Yeah.
And so... And really mentioned, if you go back to the news conference, and what just to set this all up as we welcome you back to Strings Sports Brewery here in Jax Beach on the Brent and Austen Show on a Friday. Happy March Madness. When the Jags were introducing Liam Cohen, Austin said, hey, listen in the news conference to who they reference and who he references from a player-to-player standpoint, but also listen to the order they reference it.
Correct.
So Cohen on that day, on 3 different occasions really, one was in the press conference, another one was like, I think in some other media stuff, and then one was in a sit down with us where he actually added a couple names to his list. So on that day, he had said Trevor 5 million times,
obviously,
right? But he also would say, hey, because everybody asked, what do you think about this team? Like, what about the pieces you have? Oh, well, we obviously got Brian Thomas Jr. We got 2 really good edge rushers. And he would say, and we got 2 backs that can go.
Yeah.
And that's what he would say. It's like, we got 2 backs that can go.
And at the time, we were a little surprised, like, wow, he didn't mention Kirk really, and he didn't mention Evan Ingram.
He didn't.
Well, lo and behold.
Yeah, so
what happened?
That was interesting, but he did mention the backs, and that's my point. He mentioned the backs. There's an affinity for the backs, it seems like. Now, what I would like to add to this is he also, when he did do the sit-down with us, he threw in 2 more names. linebacker, which we're assuming was Foye. He didn't really say him by name. And also he mentioned corner, meaning Tyson, because obviously they're invested in Tyson. So at the end of the day, taking the advice of Austen, he mentioned Trevor, Etienne, Bigsby, Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Foye Oluokun, and Tyson Campbell. And in regards to that, they're all still on the team. Okay? So now what changes that is potentially a guy like Gladstone, potentially the fact that you are in the contract year now because you picked up the 5th-year option for Travis Etienne. So you do have a little flexibility there where it's like, okay, well, you're going to let him walk at the end of the year, or could you get something for him sooner or later? And how big of a piece is he for this? Because I still think like the ETN question to me is he the first down back or is he the third down back?
Yeah, we have no idea what that's going to look like yet. And I truly do believe that Liam Cohen does like Travis Etienne. Now, like you said, Brent, we don't know how Gladstone feels about the whole entire situation. But I would think that if Travis Etienne's going to be that guy that they end up letting go, and when I say letting go, they end up trading away because you're not just going to cut him, I feel like the pot's got to be pretty sweet. Right, because I feel like there's some circumstances when new coaches, when GMs come in where it's like, all right, this isn't our guy, I'm not really tied to him, and maybe sometimes you just kind of cut him on a discount, right? Yeah. Maybe a coach that doesn't really like Travis Etienne would give up, a 4th-round pick for him, right? Something like that. And we would say, well, that's all that's all you got for him. I don't find that to be the case here with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Liam Cohen and company. I think if they do, I think they want to keep him. But if they do want to let him go, I think it's going to cost you a pretty high value.
YB400 says he mentioned Brenton Strange as well. And what I would say to that is he mentioned Brenton Strange, I think, and maybe I'm mistaken here. The way I remember it is he mentioned him at the Combine when he was asked about him. And obviously they feel good about Brenton Strange because they were willing to let Evan Ingram go. So I'm not discounting your point, but at least I don't remember mentioning Brenton Strange in the initial news conference. Could be wrong about that, but I don't think he did.
I don't think
so. But I think that came at the Combine stuff, which again, and he showed, hey, and then Gladstone did too. And Gladstone, we're going to use this guy. we're going to get way more out of this guy than the last guys got out of this guy, and that's what we came away with.
Remember too, Brent. He also mentioned Luke Fortner. So hey, do we solidify him right now as your starter going forward?
Well, again, it's really this is maybe a little bit of a silly game, but just keep in mind that. We're talking about what he mentioned unsolicited.
Correct.
Like it's different if you get asked about a guy, right? But it's unsolicited. What did they mention? Mm-hmm. And I think that's like the important part of at least in the context of what we're saying. Listen, I've always been a big ETN fan. I'm not backing off that. I thought it was interesting. ETN even tweeted yesterday. There was something somebody put out there, maybe it was the Jags put out there about all the different running backs in Jags history, going over 1,000 yards or some of the metrics from Fred to Maurice Jones-Drew and ETN's on the list. And he actually tweeted, he's like, we're not done yet. Something like that. Like he embraced that conversation. I got to feel like you talk about motivated players. And there's a bunch of them. There should be a bunch of them. He might be near the top of the list. He had a waste year last year. Like, it was just, I don't even know how to describe his year last year. And I don't know whose fault it was necessarily. So there's a lot of confusion right now for me with ETN and even Bigsby at what this regime is going to look for in them, how they're going to utilize them, how do they stack them. And, I mean, we went from thinking, hey, Travis Etienne might be a 15, 17, 1,800-yard guy under Doug Peters. Remember, he said he can be a 1,600-yard guy to he was hardly getting the football. Like, where is it? Like, where the scope on Etienne's potential production this year, I think, is vast.
It really is. And that's the running back position. And it's so volatile, right? Because I think of like a guy like Raheem Mostert from a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Led the league in touchdowns. Yeah. Next year, I think it was Achan, right? Came in on the scene, kind of took over. It's just like you almost forgot about. You're an afterthought.
He's a little older. He looked like he might have got old quick.
But, dude, I mean, if you lead the league in touchdowns, like I feel like that means something, you know? And it really didn't.
I'll say with Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams as well. Yeah, but Jamal, I mean, to be fair with Jamal, though, he was more of like the every down. I mean, I'm not the every down, but he was more like, like the hammer. He was
goal
more
line
the goal
guy,
line back. I feel like Mostert was more of like, the every down back, and he's an afterthought. And I think if you look at Travis Etienne, the most important question you have to ask yourself is, well, do you envision him re-signing here? Do you envision him being here for years to come? And I think a lot of people would tell you, well, probably not. Right? I mean, I think that the writing might be on the wall there. Do they re-sign him this year? I have a hard time believing it after last year's resume, and that's the running back position. So if you're Travis Etienne right now, and you look at it and say, okay, this past season was definitely a wash. Didn't get to showcase what I wanted to showcase. Don't want to say I'm forgotten about you right now, but I have some ground to make up. Yeah, this season is everything for him. And you know what? If you have a guy, and maybe he's not going to be here in the next 2-3 years, so be it. But if you have a guy who is literally playing for his career, I feel like this year, that's probably a guy, unless the draft capital was great, that I'd want to keep in my team just because I know I'm getting the best out of him.
Yes, and I say this all the time. I always reference 2017 because I think that's where I saw this the most. I like situations where you've got a lot of players really playing for something. I think that's a good place to be, especially in a world where today there's so much money on the line and everything else. And I'm not suggesting guys get complacent, but I think human nature says you can get complacent with that. But when you have a chance to really make some money and this becomes a big year, now it doesn't work out for everybody. Look at Andre Sisco. He did not have a big year in that spot, but a lot of guys do, a la Josh Hines-Allen. He did have a big year in that spot. But if you really start going around the Jags, and you can make this case for so many people, but it is a big year, we think, for Trevor Lawrence. It is a big year for a guy like Gabe Davis to kind of say, okay, what are you in the National Football League? It is a big year for Travis Etienne. I would actually I think the third year for a back is so huge. So I think even Bigsby has that, but Etienne is more, this is a huge year, chip on the shoulder, look what I can do kind of year. And then I think if you go to the defensive side of the ball, I think it's a big year for Tyson Campbell. It's a huge year for, like, Devin Lloyd as he goes into a contract season. True. So, like, they have guys. Everybody kind of is this way. But then they have other guys that's like, this is a massive year for this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. And I think they have players on both sides of the ball that could really have big seasons for them, that could really contribute, that have pretty good resumes and have shown the ability to do it. And now you would say, man, this is a huge year. And I would throw probably Eric Armstead in that mix too. Yeah. Because, hey, he's got this is resume building stuff, legacy building stuff for him. Can he bounce back in a big time way this season? Does he still have stuff left in the tank? So, I mean, I just named, I think, like 6 guys. That's a good thing, though. Like, I think that's a really good thing when you've got guys playing with a little edge and some purpose for pride. Not dollars, not anything else, but more for, hey, this is my status in the game. Yeah. And I think we've got guys in Jacksonville playing for that.
And that's what you need, man. You need that self-motivation, right? We can sit here and say, yeah, you know, the goal is to win a Super Bowl and bring it back to Jacksonville, and that should be the goal, right? Like, that's what a team is. But at the end of the day, players play for many different reasons. Some it's glory, some it's fame, some it's Super Bowls, some it's money, right? But at the end of the day, if your back's against the wall and you look at it and say, if I don't do good this year, well, we're talking maybe millions of dollars, maybe we're talking career longevity, any player is going to try to step their game up and try to make that right.
Hey, did you guys mention this yesterday? It's more of a note, but do you find it interesting that the Texans?
Yeah, we talked about.
I figured you did, but where do you land on that? I mean, it's just wild to me that the Texans and the Titans have picked up a lot of the Jags players. Keep in mind, this is a franchise. You guys probably mentioned this, but this is a franchise that it'd be like if they cut somebody at times, it's like, okay, are they going to get picked up? Right, by another team.
Correct.
And now you've got in-division teams, which really makes you think, like, all right, well, what if Cam Robinson is a difference maker in those 2 games? What if Ronald Darby is a difference maker in those 2 games? What if, obviously, Christian Kirk, he's the biggest one here. Yeah. But last year it was Foley Fatukasi, and Tennessee has had guys like, we really wondered this with Arden Key going over there. Then you wondered that with Calvin Ridley going in there. Like, these are not just a special teams guy going over to the other teams. They're important players.
I said this, yesterday. It's like, I don't want to see, especially in Houston, a divisional opponent, I don't want to see another situation where it's like Josh Oliver or where it's like Quincy Williams, where you let a guy go and all of a sudden, like, he could be a major contributor, if not a star for that team, especially, once again, a divisional opponent. So, listen, I'm not worried about Cam Robinson, Brent, just because I think we have a little more of a buffer because we saw him in Minnesota.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Minnesota invested in him to get him there in the first place, and then they didn't re-sign him, right? And if you watched any of the Vikings games, especially towards the end of the season, you saw a guy that, for the most part, was getting beat on a lot of plays. So they don't bring him back for good reason. Houston takes him up, and then all of a sudden he's supposed to replace Larry Tunzel. So, like, I think anyone would say that's more of a downgrade. So I do like that one. But Christian Kirk makes me nervous, especially wanting to play ball and restructure his contract. And Ronald Darby makes me nervous because now I'm starting to wonder, okay, well, was this the players on this team last year that just weren't playing to their best abilities? Or was this more of a combination of, the players, but also the scheme, the coaching, not getting the best out of the players?
Yeah, I've really always had this feeling, and I've opened my eyes to a different feeling, but I had a feeling for a long time that, let's say, if you're coaching the NFL, you're a good coach. Right? There's always going to be a better scheme fit or this fit or that fit. Not always, but a lot of times there'll be a better fit out there. I get that, but you're a good coach. I'm really starting to wonder, though, like when you look at some of these guys that have crossed over and gone over, it's like, all right, there is a bit concern. Are they going to get more out of X guy than the Jags got out of this guy? And we're actually hoping here in Jacksonville, and again, I had a lot of respect for Doug Peterson as a coach, but for whatever reason, this didn't work the last year and a half, and you're hoping that this coaching staff, whatever they're coming up with and drawing up, and what the freshness of this is like, well, we're going to get a lot better out of the Brenton Strangers of the world, the Etiennes, the Trevors, the everybody else's. We'll see if that transpires. So there is an element there where you're like, you do hesitate. And again, this is a guy just 3 years ago that was like, I'll go to battle with Peterson and Trevor against almost anybody in the league. And that's really changed in the last couple of years based on performance, quite frankly. So it is fascinating to watch these guys go. Now, in hindsight, as you have watched players go, the only one that has really killed you, well, not you in particular in terms of the Jags, but the one that's like, whoa, what are we doing? Was I think Quincy Williams. Yeah. I mean, Quincy Williams, you let him go for a song, right? And then he was an all-pro. He was an all-pro in New York. Like, why? Why did that happen? Why couldn't they get that here? And then you meant, like, we've lost Lazard here, but he was a practice squad guy that Aaron Rodgers made better.
I just mentioned Josh Oliver because you had no idea.
Well, that was a stupid one.
Urban Meyer just came in and said, like, we don't like him. Okay.
He's been hurt, so we don't like him.
Yeah, and you drafted, I think it was a third-round pick for Josh Oliver.
You did.
And then you let him go for, what, a sixth or seventh?
I thought,
if even that.
Which one did they let? I always get confused. Did they trade Oliver or did they trade Quincy? One of them they let go and wanted some trade. They might have traded Oliver for
I think Quincy might have just got let go.
Yeah. But Baltimore wanted him. Baltimore bulked him up.
And
Baltimore
by the way, when it comes to tight ends, you probably trust the talent evaluation, the tight end position of Baltimore.
And now, is he in Minnesota now still?
I believe so, yeah. I think he just re-signed.
And now listen, I'm not sitting here telling you that he's a perennial Pro Bowler and he's unbelievable, but he's still a good player that you let go for like nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So why could it? So there. But I do think Quincy's different because Quincy was like, wait a minute, Devin Lloyd's had some issues. All pro. Quincy Williams. Now you got Foye. That's a little bit different too. But still, like you start asking those questions. Arden Key, when he did leave, it was like, ooh. And see, I think Arden Key to the locker room was an interesting factor because he had some of that edge to him and stuff.
Of course.
And they lost that. Now, I don't know if they lost a ton of production with Key. Like, did they not win because Arden Key was in Tennessee? I don't think so. And the same goes for Ridley. We wondered how that would work. And Ridley had a fine season, but it wasn't an unbelievable season. And the Jags won that in spades, right? Because of the Brian Thomas Jr. thing.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I think with Arden Key, too, like, I don't want to speak for the entire fan base, but I always felt like he kind of left Jaguars fans with a bad taste in their mouth just because of, like, how he was saying, like, I did so much for the city and everything. Like, but when he was gone, it's like, yeah, we're not going to miss you at all.
Yeah.
But in retrospect now, it's like, well, you probably could have used him on some situations because, in terms of edge rush depth, you didn't have any.
By the way, they weren't willing to pay him like $7 million. I mean, $7 million for an edge guy. I think that's what it was. It was like $7 million. Like,
nothing.
You're outsmarting yourself for an edge guy that was giving you, like, the Jags were missing that depth.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and he was a young guy. When he left here, I think he was like 25 years old. I don't know if he's 26, 27 now, something like that. But he's a young guy who had played a lot in the league, felt older than his age, in my opinion. And then you flip this around a little bit. You think Baltimore's mad that they let Darby go? No. You think Buffalo's mad that they let Mitch and Gabe go? Probably not, right? Like, that's an interesting game that we haven't always had a chance to play in Jacksonville. We're getting a little bit more of that in the last couple of years.
We are. See, I guess and maybe this is just, a little PTSD from how I seem like it's gone, but like, I don't get nervous. Like, for instance, CJ Henderson. When he went to Carolina, I wasn't worried about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, man. Like, yeah, hopefully it works out for you.
I thought we got the better end for a month with Dan Arnold, quite frankly.
Yeah, exactly.
My guy.
That was your guy. But, like, when you have, and listen, I don't want to say, like, you have to give them their flowers because they've won back-to-back divisions. The Houston Texans, like, you don't have to like them, but you should probably respect them. So when I see a respectable team like the Houston Texans, who, I feel like are still kind of on the come-up a little bit, and they start poaching some of our players, then, yeah, I get nervous because it's like, okay, well, what are they seeing that maybe the Jaguars didn't see?
Yeah,
right. Like,
I agree.
All right, do I have to go back and watch the Ronald Darby film some more and be like, okay, was this more of a schematic thing? Do I have to go back and maybe watch the Christian Kirk highlights, even though we already know what Christian Kirk can do? Just gotta stay healthy. So that does make me nervous, Brent, when you start having good teams, respected teams, take away your players. Well,
and it's so significant. Again, more significant than Arden Key or even Ridley going to Tennessee because they're not that good. To your point, Houston is good.
Yeah.
And, I mean, again, I believe the Jags and Houston are going to contend for the division. Indianapolis might, too, if they figure out their quarterback spot. So, because I don't think Houston's running away with this thing. But you got to wonder where the balance of power has shifted a little bit with just the Christian Kirk move. You got worse. They got better on paper. Does it play out that way? We would have said the same thing this time last year about Calvin Ridley. We just weren't as afraid of it because, one, it was a lot of dollars, and two, it was Tennessee. If he had gone to Houston, we would have been like, what the heck, right? And we would have been wondering the same thing, and then they replaced with Brian Thomas Jr. If they go replace in the draft with a player that can really play, we're maybe not saying that in a month. We'll find out.
Let me ask you this. What's going to break your heart more? If Christian Kirk has a career year or if Ronald Darby has a career year?
No, go Kirk.
Kirk?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, Darby, because here's the thing. Darby, you could easily just say they didn't use him right, the coaches are idiots or whatever, if you want to go that way, because it didn't work out. And they benched him. They benched him.
That frustrated me even more than Brent.
Really?
Because then it's like, well, Liam Cohen, Gladstone, like, why didn't you look into more like, okay, it was the scheme, not necessarily the player?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And keep in mind, like, they're going to be fine. Like, I assume Darby would be more like in a depth role.
Because they signed for like $2.5 million.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's part of the reason, too, is like, I don't think Darby's that great anymore.
Sure.
But I think Kirk's still pretty good. And so maybe that's why it would sting more. It's like, well, I mean, come on, we could all see this. Like, why didn't that happen?
And obviously, when it comes to stats, like, knowing if you're a good wide receiver or not, look at touchdowns, catches, receptions.
Yeah, true. A little easier.
Being a corner is a little more difficult.
Hey, let's take a time out. We are live at Strings Sports Brewery here in Jax Beach as we get the weekend rolling early and get NCAA Tournament Day 2. We're an hour away from that. Take a look at some of the games to watch. We'll continue on with some football chatter as well. And don't forget, Shock Your Mock 2025. We always have fun with this each and every year. If you're new to the program, this is something we've been doing for a long time. Austin came up with it. We have a lot of fun with it, and we will start that next week. But you have to send them to us. The easiest way is probably sports@actionnewsjax.com. You can also hit us up on social media in other ways.
Yep.
But find a way to get them to us. You go to Pro Football Network.
Correct.
And that's where you fill out your draft simulator. Pro Football Network. Everybody loves doing this stuff. I'm seeing them all floating around.
So
you can already just
paid
send
for
them.
doing it, or at least get some pretty cool prizes for doing it.
You might as well put your hat in the ring here.
Yeah.
And what we will do is pit them against each other. So we figure we'll at least have 40 of them that we go 1v1. If we have more, we might go 1v1.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
triple threat, Brent. Yeah.
Triple threat. But anyway, we're going to do that starting next week. We always have fun with it. Shock Your Mock. Really start looking toward the NFL draft in late April. We are live at Strings Sports Brewery here on a Friday morning in Jacksonville Beach. And it's the Brent and Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate. guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jax 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I'm ready to show my hand, ready to take a stand. Wait on a sign above, and I am ready, ready. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. The crowds for the tape. I got it. Iconic. I'm built to win. Back to back, I do it again. I'm iconic. I'm one of a kind. I'm iconic. I'm built to win. I'm one of a kind.
Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years, and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit Bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
And welcome back here to Strings Sports Brewery here in Jax Beach. Obviously, two locations for Strings. Also, Springfield. We're going to be there on Thursday next week. So we're hitting the road a little bit over these next couple of weeks. We're at the Players' Championship, of course, last week. Strings today. Nimnik Buick GMC on Monday, right off Phillips Highway. So come on out and join us. That'll be a part of a celebration of our Committed to the Uncommitted program that we do. It's a scholarship program. We'll have a presentation for a young man from football season. We're also in in the middle of accepting nominations for baseball and softball players. We've had a nice year so far with that. In fact, we've already seen some of our kids that we highlighted commit just even a couple of weeks after we highlighted them. So we take all the credit in the world for that. No idea if that was going to happen anyway, but we take all the credit. But softball coaches, moms and dads, or whoever's in the softball world, quite frankly, you got to do a better job. We need more softball people getting involved in this. The baseballers are doing a great job, and we need a little bit more on the softball end just to try to equal it out. We want to be able to support both, but we're looking for under-recruited kids. In baseball and softball, it's okay to go juniors or seniors. We'll put the juniors on the radar now for their summer seasons and everything else. Obviously, seniors is a little tough because a lot of kids now, as we sit in the middle of March, kind of know what they're doing in college. But if you're hanging out hope and trying to still find a place to play, let us know. And we'd love to highlight those seniors first and foremost, and then we'll go to the juniors after that. So it's easy. Just send it sportsactionnews at actionnewsjacks.com. We look for coaches of the week for our No Gate Fee show as well in baseball and softball. Again, sports at actionnewsjacks.com. You guys know where to find us by now if you're living in that world. And then Shock Your Mock is another one. So we should be getting a lot of emails.
You think so? Yeah.
We should get a lot of emails. And we'll definitely highlight as much as we can. We like to be able to do that. We got fun stuff going on right now. We're right in the middle of our bracket challenge. Talk a little bit more about the NCAA tournament here in a moment. But we're going to give away some prizes. We end up with 120 brackets, which means that prize probably going to be a $250 prize we're giving away. Raise the ante up there. I was actually thinking, I wonder if this would be a good prize. And I'm not sure if we'll go here yet, but maybe we'll give an option. Mm-hmm. Like, would you rather win like a $250, I don't know, like one of those Visa gift cards or something like that? Yeah. Or would you rather like a $100 Visa gift card and jump on the show for a segment with us?
Man, I mean, I think it depends. If we're doing Shock Your Mock or something, then absolutely, man. Give me a $100 gift card and we'll do Shock Your Mock. It all depends.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe we'll offer that out there. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not sure.
But then I feel like if we offer it, Brent, like we give them the option and they turn it down, that's going to bruise the ego a little bit.
I don't care.
If they don't pick us.
Listen, we can fill the 15 minutes. All right, we're fine.
Yeah.
But
we can talk.
That was also a way to offset $100 or $250. I'll save the $150.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that for Brent's bank account. I get it, man. I appreciate it.
But I thought that might be fun.
Well, I don't know what we were doing.
Some people would want to do it. Some people wouldn't. So.
Well, we were talking about yesterday. Maybe we give a ticket to Hammy's wedding.
Well, we thought about that.
Yeah. So that could be on the table.
We just trade our ticket.
I don't even show up.
This guy's Austen Lane.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there you go. Here's a ticket, man. Enjoy.
Hey, so, you hear that noise? I don't know if you guys can hear the noise back there, but we're hanging out in the brewery area. You know what? In the fall, when this was all starting up and they weren't brewing beer yet, now they're fully loaded here. I just checked out all the different beers they have and some different ones from Springfield, which is kind of cool. But that noise you hear, and they gave me a little bit of a warning here, they're cleaning them out. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of a process. Dude, it just sounds like a vacuum cleaner, quite frankly.
It's a complicated process, Brent. Like, I thought, hey, beer, you just take some wheat, you put it in some hot water, and then you got your beer. Not so much, man. It's definitely a complicated process, and they definitely know what they're doing over here.
Yeah, so, hey, come on out to Strings throughout the day, and hopefully you get here early enough to have some lunch, stop on by on a Friday, and start watching some of the games that go at noon. And say hello to us. We'll be here until 1 o'clock. But, of course, the games go on all day, all weekend. This is a great place to be if you want to watch all the big screens. Shoot some hoops yourself, by the way, out on the patio, inside here. Whether it's cool or really nice out, you got a bunch of different options. Great food at Strings Sports Brewery here in Jax Beach.
And what a nice appetizer before the tournament games start here. We get people in here is, watching The Price is Right. It's great, man. Like, nothing screams like I don't have school today or, I'm Roan's ear muffet. I'm quote unquote sick, and I don't want to go to school today. Like a good episode of Price is Right.
Yeah, Price is Right, man. Tale as old as time.
Yeah.
That and Family Feud, I think, have really done
Americana
wonders at sticking around. Like Family Feud, like we get locked into all the time, man. And I feel like they found but I'm not sure. And this might just be a personal thing, but I feel like there was a time where Price is Right even went through after the Bob Barker stuff, right? It's like replacing the legendary coach.
I mean,
it's a hard thing to do.
You can't do it.
Same thing with Family Feud. They tried a couple of different renditions. I feel like they are now in a sweet spot of both shows.
Yeah,
where they're kind of like, now you can get people back watching them again. And really what Family Feud has done is they've gone edgy. Like Family Feud, edgy, like stuff they put up there now and talk about. It's close. Like it's kind of a wild thing. But it's fun to watch. It's like that's their next rendition of it. And plus, you'll see it in prime time now. You don't just find it on the Game Show Network. But I actually think those two, and I understand that Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy are still in that 7 o'clock window, which is prime time. They probably do better, is my guess. But I feel like, at least the people I'm watching or whatever, they get hooked onto these two shows, maybe even more than those now.
No, I mean, this is Americana to its finest, right? Like, I mean, they haven't really changed up a lot. There's not a lot of controversy. You know, you still have, Barker's Beauties. They don't call it Barker's Beauties anymore, do they?
I don't know.
You probably can't call it anymore. But, like they still have, the women that showcase surprises, but they also have dudes now, too. They have guys wearing nice, tight-fitting suits and everything.
They do?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should look into doing that one day. Being like a Price is Right model the whole time.
I actually remember, it's funny you say that because I can't remember who it was, but I remember sometime when I was in Rhode Island growing up, I was in high school, I think it was, and they were like, hey, there's so-and-so, she's from Warwick, Rhode Island, and she's on The Price is Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she's actually I guess you call a model for The Price is Right or whatever. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I never really thought about, maybe you should look into that as your job.
I'll see what I can
do.
A
little part-time gig.
I can just do the show from the studios before I have to go out there to, model some stuff. I come back and, we talk about some more Jaguars football and stuff. Yeah, let's do it.
Price is Right. If you had one to pick, Price is Right, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy.
Oh, man. Price is Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Even more than Family Feud?
That's my childhood, growing up with my grandparents. That's what we watch, man. It's The Price is Right or nothing. If I can go on any game show, I'm going to The Price is Right.
Do you think people stay away from, even though Jeopardy's cool to watch, but you just, you don't feel smart enough for it sometimes?
Right. You kind of embarrassed a little bit. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think Price is Right. It's kind of like the no-brainer, right? Because even if you go on, Family Feud, and, the whole Family Feud thing is, you always got to be, a great family and clap along, even if it's a dumb answer. Hey, give me the top 10, favorite fast food restaurants. And someone says, Denny's, which is not fast food, and be like, oh, good answer. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
That's a dumb answer, but you can't say it because you have to play along with it. I feel like Price is Right. You can just more kind of be yourself, man, and show off your personality.
The thing I appreciate about Harvey there is he will say what kind of answer is that? or at least his face will say it. He's good, man.
It's all his expression.
He's funny. He's good. He's really good.
Didn't Aaron Rodgers host Jeopardy for a little bit?
I think he did. I think he was really in the. Remember we were doing that. It was odds on Ken Jennings or Rodgers or whoever was going to host it. I'll tell you, the one that I always thought that I could, Price is Right, I guess anybody could go on, but I don't think I'd be great at that. I always thought that I would be good. I was pretty good at Wheel of Fortune from home. Now, I think in the moment it takes on a little bit different, but I wonder if I could be good at Wheel of Fortune. Now, Wheel of Fortune is hit or miss. Sometimes your eyes see the puzzle, and you're like, oh, that's great. And then other days you'll be like, I can't get anything. So it all depends on the day. But anyway, I threw out a little question there, which if you could get one, if you could just watch one show, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, Price is Right, Family Feud, and I'll answer it with this. Right now, it's Family Feud for me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm watching Family Feud. And what I really think, I've said this before, and I know we've done this on the show, but I think they should just do a whole show full of fast money.
See, that's the thing.
Because that's the best part.
But that's the one thing, Brent. People want to oh, what a bad answer, fast money. I feel like fast money is pressure.
That is pressure.
It's pressure personified.
It is.
Yeah.
I still think they should change the game, too. If you get 200, everything over 200 points should get more money. You get 200 bucks, you get $20,000 or something, right?
I like that.
But by the way, where are we at in inflation with that kind of stuff? $20,000, with all due respect, but if I just won something on Family Feud,
$20,000 to come out there on our planes.
Well, you get taxed 60% on that $20,000, by the way, and you got to split it between your whole family.
Yeah, there's no way.
By the end of it, you just had a nice steak dinner in L.A.
Cool. We just broke even and we're on national television. Fantastic.
But I mean, where's the inflation on that?
That is a good point. Even with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that was revolutionary when it first came out, because we're talking about $1 million you can win, and somebody finally won it, whoever that dude was. But now it's like, it's $1 million.
Yeah, and
you know, like Carson Beck made that like in a month. We're all right.
Anyway, that sounds very snotty to say, like, here's $1 million. I'll take the $1 million.
Oh, no, hey, we all want the $1 million.
But it just doesn't feel like I mean, we see lottery tickets now for $1 billion.
Yeah. There's freshmen in college making that hand over fist playing quarterback. You're all good.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated with things that kind of stand the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're talking about, it's interesting you brought up the game show thing. And I do think, I don't think like kids in droves or teenagers or young adults in droves are watching like these shows the way we used to. But I do think like they still are attracted to them to some degree. Like you can stop and watch them.
Yeah.
Like if we're watching it at home and the kids are there, like they'll sit there and watch it for you, right?
For sure.
So I'll give you the other thing that I think is fascinating is this NCAA tournament in that regard. The NCAA tournament from generation to generation is almost passed down, but it's actually even amplified more now because kids are aware and it's now not taboo to put a wager on it or do a pool. My kid now has grown up in the pool world, right? He won a couple of them.
Yeah.
But like
he's at Best Bet with Hamby hanging out sometimes. You know?
So like that's the world they live. Now listen, Ty's a big sports fan. So Ty will watch his stuff like left and right.
Sure.
You know, and all day. He'll watch more of it than I will. So I'm not talking about that kid all the time, but I just do think people of all ages now are locked in on the NCAA tournament these first couple of rounds. And because the first couple of rounds, you can even get, like my wife's not a huge college basketball fan, but she loves the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
She's got a bracket too. It's fun to be able to see games all day. It's a thing to do.
Yep.
So it's interesting how this, again, I say the first, really Thursday, Friday, you can get into Saturday, Sunday, but Thursday, Friday in particular, and I think partly because it feels like you're allowed to not work.
Yeah, for real.
Like it's like a pass to not work that people get really enthralled with it.
Yeah.
But I do think the kids, it's as big a deal now, even for the younger generation, as it was for us.
No, without a doubt.
Which is interesting to me.
And real quick, I mean, I have to say this. Breaking news on The Price is Right. Someone rolled a 90 on the big wheel. Another person rolled a 90. And then to come over the top, I think we have Jacqueline just rolled $1. That's rare, Brent. 90 to $1.
Are you winning $1,000 for that?
You win $1,000, yeah. But the other two that rolled a 90, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for playing. That's a tough way to go out.
Thought they had it in the bag.
I would be upset. But anyways, no, Brent. I think the NCAA tournament, I think it's perfection personified because when you talk about, and listen, I have one at home, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about the youth and what they're into, it's all about the 10-second clips. It's all about TikTok. Like, you don't want to invest so much time in everything. Well, what's the tournament all about? You have maybe 4 or 5 games playing at once. So you can check in for this game a little bit. Okay, I'm going to the next game a little bit. Or you can have 5 games at once if you truly want to have that on the TV. But I just think, like, you know, in terms of attention span and in terms of entertainment, it's the perfect formula. And like, my son's all about it. Obviously, I grew up with it. I'm all about it. It's just, I think it's the best 2 days of sports.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, and you can debate that, but it's fun. I think I didn't think about that. I think about the wagering part. Yeah. It's okay. Again, 15 years ago, you had to worry a little. You were like, oh, I don't know if we're supposed to do a pool at work. You know, like that was legit. Like if you're like, if you're kind of laughing at that, like, that was legit.
Well, it was like,
right?
what, 5-6 years ago, we couldn't really talk about betting, it seemed like, on sports shows.
You couldn't, especially in my job, like on TV. Like, maybe a little bit more here on like a radio streaming kind of platform, but in TV, we're doing like, hey, they're plus 7.5 on TV. Like, that was not a thing, right? As little as 5, 6, 7 years ago. So there is that element, but then I forgot about this element. Like Ty threw on the other day YouTube thing of like the finishes in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And like, I caught on to it. First, it was wild because it was somewhere from 1983, and the TV was like, the screen was so bad. I was like, thank goodness they had announcers, and all the way until like 2 years ago, right? To whoever. And so you're kind of getting reminded of all the finishes. Well, Ty's sitting there and he's like, at one point he's like, oh, so and so is going to do this right here, and I'm like, this son of a gun's watched this thing like 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, so that shows you that clip stuff that is right there to be seen, whether it's 20 minutes of it on YouTube or whether it is the quick clip that everybody now can see on social media, that is the way they're consuming it, and it is perfect for this tournament. You don't miss a beat. And I mean, even me, I didn't see much yesterday live. But I can easily go find everything that happened in 15 minutes.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful world.
And even like when I was coming up as a kid, and same thing with you, like we didn't have True TV. We didn't have all these different channels that showcase the game. So it's like, all right, you had the one channel, but like even they would kind of go in and out of different games, right? So you see different games and teams and everything. But
I tweeted that the other day, and it was like, kids don't remember. They threw the one TV. The live look-ins, man, were an unbelievable thing. Now a live look-in is like a normal viewing experience.
It was a saving grace back then. But now it's like, whatever team, whatever game you want to watch, it's at your remotes, it's at your fingertips, and that's the thing with these kids these days, man, is like they like to have things up front. They don't like commercials, obviously all this stuff, so you can click through, and that's the beauty of Thursday and Friday of March Madness.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Brent Martineau Austen Lane here at Strings Sports Brewery in Jax Beach. Florida Gators will play at 6:50 tonight, so this place will be rocking for that one. Tournament gets going at about 12:15 today, though, with Baylor and Mississippi State. So just to check out some of the games, what catches your attention? We'll get to Florida in just a moment. But you got Baylor, Mississippi State. That could be good. That's an 8-9 game. Another SEC team. We'll see how they do. Alabama, Robert Morris shouldn't be a problem. I think there's some interesting eyes on Iowa State and Lipscomb. That's a 3-14, and I think people are like, hey, keep an eye on Lipscomb here. That's out of the A-Sun. So we're familiar with them. Memphis, Colorado State. Don't know what to expect. We just see 5-12, and that's a 2-o'clocker.
And keep in mind, right now, Colorado State's actually the favorites.
I saw it.
Wow.
Isn't that why? I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think,
I don't know much about them.
Well, I mean, I watched Memphis in their championship game against UAB. Memphis obviously has Penny Hardaway and everything. I don't know. It's hard to get a grasp on it, why Colorado State's actually favored right now. They're -1.5 against Memphis. It's hard to say, Brent.
Yeah, I think I did one of the brackets we did. I did just for the heck of it. Almost as like a master one. I wanted to see the odds and percentages, and so I did a whole bracket where I just took the favorite. Okay, so it's not really my bracket, but there's a goofy bracket in our bracket contest where it's got one of those phone number things, that's the one. And so, but found it very interesting. Colorado State was percentage-wise to win that game. It was like 59 to 41%. I'm like, what's going on here? It's pretty interesting that it's like that. So Mount St. Mary's plays Duke at 2:50, 3 o'clock game. Vanderbilt St. Mary's. This is a big one for me, by the way. I got Vandy. I played Vandy going deep.
We talked about this one, yes.
So again, I was trying to find it. Maybe I'm buying into the SEC. You can get a 10-seed SEC that not only gets by that game, but maybe makes some real noise. And Vandy, just okay. That's why they were a 10 seed. But are they a team that wakes up just in time? I think North Carolina, Ole Miss is interesting because Ole Miss SEC, but North Carolina, I think people are playing them a lot.
They're actually the favorite in this game too, which is a little wild.
They did get favorite
so North Carolina right now, they're 1.5-point favorites against Ole Miss. Keep in mind, North Carolina has an extra game over Ole Miss because they had to play the play-in game.
Yes. So they got a little momentum already. Maryland Grand Canyon will be one to watch. Kentucky Troy. It's interesting to see Troy in the basketball tournament. They're more of a football school. They have been. They've got great sports, to be honest with you. Their baseball team's top 25 in the country right now, but they'll play Kentucky. New Mexico and Marquette. How good is Marquette?
Well, see, Marquette, I feel like they don't have the size like they've always had at Marquette. They have decent players, but New Mexico has, I guess, and I haven't watched a lot of New Mexico Lobos basketball, but by my understanding, in this game, they have Marquette at 3.5. But I guess New Mexico has one of the best players in the country. And usually, and this is, I always try to take this into account when I'm putting up my bracket. Like, if you have one of the top players in the country, usually that guy can get you at least one win.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm always reminded, I always go back to the Adam Morrison effect. Gonzaga back in there with the mustache and everything. It seems like if you have one of the Jimmer Fredette, another guy from BYU, if you have the top guy in the country, he can usually buy you a win.
Akron, Arizona. I think I picked Akron to beat Arizona. Oklahoma, UConn. That's an interesting one to watch for Gator fans, and that will be on after their game because that's who they'll get in the next round.
Well, especially UConn, too. And by the way, Liv Tastic picked UConn just because of the Huskies and everything. In case you're wondering that.
Nice
but I'm really curious to see, too, because like UConn, they've been in the media, but kind of for some bad reasons in terms of how they've responded to losses and adversity.
Unbelievable.
Exactly, and how they responded to adversity. So I'm very curious to see, you go from last year, you go on a great run, a really dominant run. I think they only had one game that was kind of close last year in the tournament before they won it. This year, you're going against Oklahoma, who a lot of people are thinking are going to beat you. So I'm curious to see how UConn's going to actually look in this tournament.
Xavier, Illinois, later today. Bryant, Michigan State. Bryant out of Rhode Island, by the way. Another team that now comes from Little Rhodey. They made their way through from Division II to Division I. I think they play out of the America East, and they won that conference. So they were 15 seed against Michigan State. And then Ronan's staying up late tonight because Liberty and Oregon go at 10:10 tip time. It's the final one of the second-day slate.
Hey, we couldn't just make it anything before 10 o'clock, but here we are. So I'm sure we'll probably watch the first half of it and get up next morning and finish the second half of it.
All right, there we go. Listen, there's a potential upset bid there, too. Liberty, always good, and back in the NCAA tournament. All right, let's circle back real quick to Florida. 28.5-point favorite, I think they are. I mean, this
big number.
This is a business-like team. I can't imagine they fall asleep. Now, listen, St. John's yesterday, that was a tight first half. And then they rolled. That's what you get. I mean, will Norfolk State come out and throw a punch here or there? Maybe. I think that's to be expected. But I just can't imagine Florida has much trouble at all. I think they're going to roll.
Yeah, I really do, too, because once again, I have Florida winning the whole thing. And I think, I get it. It's 1 versus 16. But you always got to pay attention to how the one looks out the gate. Right? Like, if you think of UConn last year, they didn't really have any problems, I feel like, until maybe the Elite Eight, and I forgot who they played where it was a closer game. But if you're as dominant as you say you are, and we think you are, then come out and cover that 32 points or whatever it is on that spread.
Man, that beer smells so good.
That is tickling my nostrils right now.
I thought somebody was bringing one right to me or something. I mean, it feels like it's right next to me. I guess it's right behind me.
There is barley tickling my nostrils right now, and I'm not mad at it.
It's going through the hoses and it's going to end up on my lips at some point.
Make that a candle or something, please.
Not working today
That's
either
delicious.
on TV, so I can
have
a pint.
Have at it, man.
Nice and early. But Florida, what's fascinating to me about Florida since I've been, because again, I wasn't here in the back-to-back run.
Yeah.
Where you could just say, oh, they're going to win.
Yep.
Well, tonight you'd say, oh, they're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't know about UConn, Oklahoma. Will that be a scare game? You're right. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like, even tonight. But I think more so on Sunday when they do win and they got to play Oklahoma or UConn. What does that one look like? Can they handle that moment against the team that, listen, probably is capable, right? Oklahoma's playing a little bit better, and UConn's obviously UConn. So they're capable of having a game and beating a team like Florida if you don't have your A game. That'll be an interesting one to check the psyche of the Gators, because it's just a different animal right now to assume. I think we've all assumed they're in the Sweet 16, no problem.
Yep.
And then you really assume, okay, Elite Eight, no problem. And then Final Four, we understand. It's hard to get to the Final Four. I think even fans understand. But there'll be major disappointment if they don't get to the Final Four.
So I'm looking up, because we mentioned UConn from last year, how dominant they were.
Yeah, they won every game by double digits.
Yeah, so they go to the Big East tournament. They beat Marquette by 20-something. Then the first round of the opening NCAA tournament, they win by 40. Then they win by 23, it looks like. Then in the Sweet 16, they beat San Diego State by 30. Then in the Elite Eight, they beat Illinois, who at the time Illinois was a great team, beat them by 25.
Amazing.
Right? And then in the Final Four, I say they had a close game. Maybe they didn't have a close game because in the Final Four, they beat Alabama 86-72. And in the championship, they beat Purdue 75-60. So that's what a dominant team is supposed to look like. So this is what I'm saying here, Brent. If you're Florida, you dominated the SEC tournament. Right, you have great momentum right now. You got to come out that first game against Norfolk State.
Yep,
and cover that spread. Simple as that.
I'm counting how many people have Florida as the national champs in our pool.
I'm in there, and my son's in there as well. I mean, son and mom.
So I guess we ended up with 122 brackets. I guess we ended up with 39. Picked Florida to win it all.
I'm surprised it's not even more.
It might be. That's a third of the bracket. It's picked Florida. It looks like there are a lot of Auburns in there as well.
Sorry about that, Brent.
Now, the most picked champion across, I think this is across the country, is 25% Duke, 21% Florida, 10% Auburn.
Is Duke surprising to you? Because
a little bit.
I feel like Duke's like the universally hated team, so I have a hard time believing people are just going to say, hey, let me see the Duke Blue Devils win.
I'm going to give you a different thing that I'm not so sure that even – I think the Cooper Flag stuff has people thinking Duke. They won without Cooper Flag and looked really good too. Duke is Duke. They're on TV more than Leave It to Beaver reruns, said Pete Gillen one time. But I'm a little surprised Duke has gotten as much love as they have this year. And I understand if you look at the metrics and stuff, it says they are. And I don't watch Duke every night. They've been very good. Yeah. But I just wonder if people have can Shire do it? Can he? It's not Krzyzewski's Duke.
Sure.
And I actually think of Duke now, and I'm almost like they've disappointed more than they've done well. They are usually a team that's gotten bounced early. Remember, they lost a 15 seed like Hampton or something like that. More like in the last decade. Then they wouldn't make it to a Final Four or whatever. I mean, I think you got to go back to Grayson Allen. Maybe the last time they've been in a Final Four. Does that make sense? The street cred on Duke is obviously long and historic, but I also think they've shown a lot of vulnerability in this tournament, so I'm surprised so many people are confident that they're not going to have a hiccup.
Do you think the overall vibe of Duke has changed? Do you think they're more universally liked than they have been?
That's a good point. I don't know.
Are we seeing Duke basketball, Notre Dame football, all of a sudden kind of have a resurgence of hey, you know what? I can get up
kind of a cool kid in town.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm wrong about this. In 22, they made it to the Final Four in Krzyzewski's last year. Why don't I remember that?
Oh, did they play in 22?
Coach K announced. Let's just see who they would be. Classic blow us. They would later meet Kentucky for another Classic regional final game. Blow a 17-point second half lead and losing to the Wildcats. Where was that? I guess. 21-2 season, make the Final Four run. Duke fell just short of the championship game. They lost to UNC.
But who do they play? Did they play Wisconsin? Is that the Wisconsin year?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's not taking me through it.
NCAA championship by defeating Wisconsin. Yeah. Oh, that was 15. Okay.
That was in 15. That was the one I was thinking of. That was would have been like the.
That was
that Grayson Allen year?
15?
When he was a freshman?
No, that might have been. Yeah.
I feel like
that could have been it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, that's a good point. Do people hate Duke and Notre Dame as much as they did 5 years ago?
I mean, once again, and I get it, you're picking it maybe based off Cooper Flag, but at the end of the day, you're going to pick teams based on sometimes if you like them or not. Right? So if this many people are picking Duke to win the tournament,
yeah, there is some emotion involved in there.
Yeah.
Well, I would say this. See, Ronan's an interesting example here to me because he's got an Oregon Ducks shirt on.
He does.
So right now he's a Ducks fan.
Yes.
But I think a lot of the kids now, the younger generation, is a player fan. Absolutely. So here you could be like, I like Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
He's the cool kid in town. I don't care what jersey he wears.
That's a good point.
Right? I like him. Mm-hmm. I think we're more individual in our affinity for sports now. I think we like the player almost more than the team, at least this generation. That's what I think.
No,
now, again, your kid's wearing an Oregon shirt.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Ask him who his favorite player is. It's Bo Nix. So sorry, Trevor.
So that was why.
Yes.
That's why he got into Oregon.
Correct.
Yeah. So again, it started with Bo Nix.
Started with Bo Nix. Yeah. And then ask him who his other favorite players are. Justin Jefferson, obviously. So yeah, I think you make a pretty great point.
Huh. But I wonder if but he likes the Jags.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
But he still is thinking Justin Jefferson.
Exactly.
So we got to get him the Jags. Jags do well, and here's what happens to a kid like Ronan.
Brian Thomas Jr.
At 10, no kidding. But if they go to the playoffs and he goes to a playoff game, or he's feeling that, and he's gonna wear his Jags shirt, and he's gonna like Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. over Bo Nix and Justin Jefferson, but you got to win to do that.
You have to win to do that. And here's a fun fact. So today I was at the salon getting my hair twisted up or whatever, and the salon, what do you call it? The salonist? What would you call this? The
stylist.
The stylist. Thank you very much, Brent. See, you were on it. The stylist asked Ronan, "Hey, when you go to college, what do you want to be when you're older?" And he goes, "Well, I want to play for the Jaguars and help them out." because they need help. Which I appreciate the sentiment, Like, he could have picked his team, the Denver Broncos, but no, he wants to come to Jacksonville. So, like, all right, at least, like,
there we go.
There's still some fandom there.
He's got some fandom and community service. At the same time.
For sure.
That's awesome. Hey, let's take a time out here on the Brent Austen Show. We'll come back. Jacksonville Sharks play tonight. We'll hear from some of those guys as we welcome in the Jacksonville Sharks as a new partner of the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Now, only the home games will be played on the network, so you can go to the Indoor Football League and check out where you can find the Sharks or jacksharks.com. Tonight they're at Massachusetts. It's a big game to start, so we'll dive into that a little bit coming up as we are live at Strings Sports Brewery in Jax Beach. Hey, don't forget to check out cgcwater.com and our friends there as well for all your water treatment and plumbing needs. They've got some cool things happening here in 2025. We'll keep telling you about them, but they're right on St. John's Bluff Road. If you're in the Jacksonville area, you can always just check out cgcwater.com and how they can help you out, not only with your water treatment needs, but also your plumbing as well. A little bit of a do-it-all for you at cgcwater.com. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC. We are professional grade. Action Sports Jacks is the biggest brand in Jacksonville, and we're excited to add another partnership for this team's biggest season yet. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is now the official streaming network of the Jacksonville Sharks for their 15th season.
The Jacksonville Sharks are your champions.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Krasanovich's under-23 men's team. Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season.
Then attention turned to the future. With MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
All right, welcome back here to Strings Sports Brewery in Springfield. Good to have everybody along here on a Friday morning, a little out of the norm Friday, right? Because of spring break. I'm sure everybody's habits are a little bit different. I love spring break. It's kind of fun. This feels like Florida in spring break. And although, man, I wake up this morning, I got home last night, like, lady, it's freezing outside.
It was definitely chilly this morning, Brent. And you know me, man, I never, check the weather. I'm like, I'm in Florida. It's going to be warm.
Yeah.
Well, we're going through a little bit of rude awakening today, as me and my son are both just rocking T-shirts and shorts, but it is what it is.
Well, now it's nice, right?
Yeah,
you gotta get by. That's what the beauty of it, this early part, and then it's like, okay, now it's nice. And,
yeah.
But it's not bad to throw a little sweatshirt on either. But right now, you know, I wrote, you think it's always going to be warm in Florida, especially, coming from the north.
Yes.
And Steph's parents will come down, and they come down for a couple months, and they're getting a little older, so they really like it warmer, you know. I mean, It gets colder a little easier. And I have to, remind Steph, I'm like, Steph, you know, Jacksonville in early January, the high temperature is something like 65. It's not 80 all the time.
Yep.
You got to remember 65, and especially if you get whatever wind, that's a cool wind, not a warm wind, that becomes a little chilly. That is not your expectation of Florida. And we've done it before. We've been down to Key. I remember we went down to Key, the Keys one spring break with the kids years and years ago, and it was freezing, man. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be cold in Key West or whatever key we were on. And well, I guess it can be.
Well, listen, thoughts and prayers to my mom in Wisconsin, because last week or 2 weeks ago, it was 70-something degrees.
Really? She got 77?
They got 8 inches of snow 2 nights ago.
Shit.
So back in the winter wonderland, when it's almost April, you hate to see it, Brent.
We say this all the time, around this stuff. The worst thing about living up north was not that it was cold and snowy. It was that it was cold and snowy now.
Yes.
It's January, you're cool. December, great. It's Christmas. Maybe we'll have a white Christmas. November,
exactly.
kind of puts you in the spirit.
Of course.
February, I guess it's just part of being up there.
It's part of it.
March, you're screw you, man.
So March is okay, the snow's melting, flowers starting to bloom, you know what I'm saying? And
it teases you with 77.
Of course. And then, by the way, I'm sorry, it's baseball season? Nah, check this out. It's hockey season still.
And that's what of course, that's always mine, because March 10th, I always know the date. March 10th was when we could play.
Gotcha.
That was tryouts, for high school baseball.
Yeah.
And usually started in the gym, then the parking lot, then the frozen field.
Brent, they may be having games in Wisconsin in the gym this year. A lot of fields
now.
being used.
Of course, they clear the heck out of that in a hurry in Wisconsin.
No, for sure. Yeah, they'll take the John Deere tractors and clear that right out.
But okay, I'll give you another one from a weather standpoint. We go cover the draft in Chicago, and at this time, I believe it's it's actually a little bit later. It was in May. It was May 2nd or 3rd or something like that. Around that time, I'm pretty sure the draft was in May before they moved it to the last week of April.
Okay.
Check me on that if you wish, but so it's end of April, early May. And I remember being in Chicago one year, man, and it was freezing. Like, that wind was whipping. They call it the Windy City for a reason. That wind was whipping, and it was cold, and we were, like, bundled up. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you're looking at that, like, we're doing reports, and you're, like, bundled up from Chicago. It's like people are probably watching on TV, and they're saying, dude, it's like May. Like, what are you wearing?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, it can be that cold. I'm kind of wondering what it'll be like in Green Bay this year in late April for the draft. Like, it might be really cold.
Listen, it might be 80 degrees and beautiful. You might be trying to get snow out of the other tires. I have no idea, man. Like, right now in Wisconsin, this has kind of been the trend, and I feel like it's kind of the trend of all of the Midwest or the northern states. It's like, once you hit that March threshold, it used to be, okay, the snow's melting, we're all good to go, and now it's like, oh, we're getting another, like, snowstorm. So, I mean, I assume by that time, Brent, by the time the NFL draft's going to be in Green Bay, Wisconsin, that, it's going to be beautiful outside, maybe 70s, maybe even higher 60s, still going to feel great, a little breezy, but there might be snow on the ground. If that's the case, then, hey, Green Bay, it's been fun, but you're never going to host another draft again.
No, you're not.
No, it's going to be a one-and-done thing.
We'll get nice and warm in Jacksonville one year. We're going to host that thing, I promise. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Brent and Austin Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Get us all the time at actionsportsjax.com, Action News Jax app. Also on your smart TV, whether that's Roku or Google TV or Apple TV, Vizio, you name it. All you got to do is download the Action News Jax Now app, and you can watch from everywhere, just like right here at Strings Sports Brewery in Jax Beach as we get ready for day 2 of the NCAA tournament to tip off in less than a half an hour. Of course, the Florida Gators will go at 6:50 tonight. That one with a bunch of local interest, really the only local interest game in the NCAA tournament. We've got some local interest with the Jacksonville Sharks, and earlier this week, and really the last couple of weeks, we've announced a partnership with the Sharks as they get set to embark on their 15th season of arena/indoor football. They play tonight in their season opener at Massachusetts. A good team, a good rivalry, so a lot on the line early in the season for the Jacksonville Sharks. We were out at practice this week, and we shared some of the interviews. We'll share a couple more right now. I think these are interesting. These guys all have interesting stories. Wild. So take Dominic Jackson. He's a big fella now. They really feel like they beefed up their offensive line because the run game is important now in indoor football. It's not just let it fly like Arena League. And Dominic played for Nick Saban, won 2 national championships while at Alabama. Yeah. So he brings some pedigree over to the Jacksonville Sharks. We had a chance to catch up with the big offensive lineman this week. Here we go, right? You guys put a lot of work in, and Friday probably can't wait for it.
Oh, absolutely, man. We've been working hard, coming together as a team, us, the staff, the organization, and just ready to get to week 1 and keep the ball rolling.
What obviously you got really good back. Looks like you got great skill guys. You guys look pretty big up front too. Is that normal in this league?
No, we're putting a little bit of twist to it, size that can move. Putting the best with the best, and hopefully it will gel all together so we can be that championship team.
From your position, is it normal football at the end of the day, blocking, or is it different in the arena game? I mean, inside game. What do you look at it?
Depends on how you view it, right? If it's from a schematic scheme standpoint, a coach standpoint, or from a player standpoint, at the end of the day, football is football, right? Do your job, dominate your space, and be where your feet are.
How much passion do you still have to play to be able to be here and committed to this and want to continue your career?
Honestly, I was a young gentleman that didn't get to play growing up, so I still have that, Pop Warner mentality to it. Why can't I play? Let me play. You know what I mean? So as long as I still have that mentality, I'll be out here as long as I can. Until then, we'll see where it lays.
Yeah, you bring some national championship pedigree, don't you?
Yes,
I mean, Alabama guy, played under Saban. I mean, do you take that with you in the huddle, on the field, with these guys, share some of those experiences?
Oh, 100%. Everything between Mario Cristobal, Scott Cochran, and, of course, Nick Saban. Of course, the little things that they showed taught me from that age to now. I still take it with me every day.
What do you like about this squad?
Honestly, we're a family already. We're very gelled. We're very the camaraderie is there. The love, the passion is there on both sides of the ball. And then on top of that, to have that with the organization and the staff, it's really a surreal situation this year.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good luck. Get local sports on demand with Action Sports Jax 24/7. All sports, all local, all the time. Hey, bring it back over. There you go. Thanks. Liv's watching the stream. It's not your bad. It's Hamby's bad. Hamby took the ones from social media instead of the ones that were supposed to be like for the stream only.
There you go, man.
What would Hamby do wrong today?
Oh, no, hey,
what did Hamby do wrong today?
Hey, listen, because sometimes the shows, they go a certain way, and we have like themes in the show. Yesterday, the theme of the show is you're looking at Brent's not here today.
Was it?
Oh yeah, I said it about 10 times yesterday. I'm like, well, at least Brent's not here.
I'm still trying to characterize Wednesday's show. You made him all sorts of uncomfortable on Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, that's how like it is, Brent. I mean, that's the way it goes. By the way, listen, big dude, first of all.
Yeah.
You have to wonder, though, how long can the Sharks keep this guy before Tony Khan comes to crawl and tries to pull him for AEW? Because he's got a look. He's got good mic skills, man. Might be a good wrestler.
He looks that part.
He does.
They got another guy over there too, and I don't know his name, but they when I was over at practice Wednesday, and I actually said, well, are those guys twins? I mean, but
Nice.
they are big dudes. I was like, wow. I mean, they are a mountain of men. That's an interesting point right there. He looks like he could factor good little tag team.
Stop interviewing him, Brent. Stop giving him camera time, man. Tony's going to see this stuff.
All right, well, let's carry on. And by the way, Nick, just a heads up. Because he probably pulled all the ones that are also good for social media. You're going to see Brent on the back end constantly. So just get out of that. There's enough Brent right here. No, don't worry about it. Let's just
one
roll
of the funny things yesterday was we had a question, and I forgot it was about a Louisville basketball player because he had like one of those masks on.
Oh yeah,
and we're wondering what happened to him. So we sent Ham because I'm trying to run this show. I'm trying to do a lot of things. So I couldn't Google it myself, Brent, because I can only do one thing at once. I'm not like you where I can tweet like 5 different things, have a conversation about Trevor Lawrence, and also, have the camera set up. I can't do all that. So, I'm talking about, all right, Hammy, just go and, do some research. Why is this guy like that? Took him like 10 minutes, couldn't find it. And I think the internet was slow or something. So my mom ended up texting the show and sent the article over. And I said, hey, my mom is producing better than you from Wisconsin in the middle of the snow than you are right now. So that was kind of a funny thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice shot, Mom, by the way.
Mom's coming through the clutch.
And, hopefully Hamby's not listening today.
I'm sure he is.
Hey, let's hit the quarterback, Caleb Barker. They really think they got a guy that can chuck it and run this offense for the Jacksonville Sharks. Here's our conversation with Caleb. All right, man. Well, how fun is it finally to be able to put the work into play on Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long couple of weeks. I feel like we've prepared really well, and I really feel like we got a good group of guys that are poised for a lot of success this season. So happy with the way camp has gone and excited to get it rolling.
What gives you that sense? What do you see out here?
We got a lot of talent. We had a lot of talent all throughout camp and had to cut numbers down, just the nature of the games. And we're still super talented. There's some things that I think we need to fine-tune, and that'll take some game reps. But excited to see how we're able to grow and get better after watching film.
What's it like playing in this league where everybody's got a unique story? And I'm sure you guys, when you get off this field, having lunch, whatever it is, you're sharing those stories. Is there something different about it because of where everybody came from and what you guys are kind of playing for?
I think yes and no. It's still football at the end of the day, but I think just professional football is much different than college, obviously. You kind of don't have a choice but to get close with these guys, especially with them only being 25 on a team. You're able to kind of share stories, yes, and that's kind of what grows your bond together, and it always makes it deeper than just football. You're playing for each other at the end of the season, so it's been fun, like I said, up to this point, but I'm excited to continue to grow.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
So Caleb joined the Sharks at the end of last year. They went 3-1 when he joined. They kind of revamped that roster. They didn't like the roster they had kind of built early in the season. They kind of figured it out toward the end. Barker actually played at Troy. We just mentioned them, so he'll be rooting for the Trojans in the NCAA tournament. Important to have the good QB, of course, and when the Sharks have been at their best, they've had one of the best quarterbacks in the either Arena League or Indoor League, so we'll see if they have that. Let's get to one more, and this is really one of their big gets. So they play Massachusetts tonight, and this guy came from that Massachusetts team. He's a running back who's run for over 1,000 yards in 2 seasons. Think about that. It's a 50-yard field. Like, that's pretty incredible. Like, if you wouldn't believe that stat because, again, you have this view of arena indoor football that's like you're not using the back.
Yeah.
This guy played at Bethune-Cookman, and he's from St. Augustine as well, so he comes back home. His name is Jimmy Robinson. He's a running back for the Sharks. You got a little something extra for this one on Friday night, don't you?
Yeah, rivalry game. I mean, guys I played with, I came in the league for 2 years with, so it's going to be something fun.
Coach was just saying you'd have 1,000 yards in the last couple of seasons indoor football. He's like, think about that. That's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, on a small field it is. So I think it was like 1,500 last year and then around 1,200 the first year.
Obviously, you guys trying to duplicate that this season. You feel like you've got the ability to do it with this team, what you have up front?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the guys I have up front, I mean, they're special. I mean, you see them, they're big. So it's gonna be exactly what it's been the last 2 years, even better.
Sharks been around 15 years, have not had a lot of success. Is there something to come into play for this team? Obviously, it's home for you as well, but is there something to the name across the jersey?
Just being a part of the Jax team, the Sharks, it's a lot, man. Just playing against them, being in the atmosphere is really special. So it means a lot just being able to put on this jersey.
How about just playing college ball at Bethune, being from the St. Augustine area? Kind of neat to play some pro ball here at home?
Yeah, I mean, it's really good to be home. Like I said, I'm close to my son. Just being able to be a hometown guy and be able to go home right down the road is really good.
Nice, man. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. You know, we played this on TV the other night a little bit too, and like there's sometimes you're doing, I don't know if I misspoke or just didn't say it the right way or whatever, but it sounded like I said like the Sharks haven't had a lot of success. That's not what I meant.
Yeah.
Like the Sharks have had a lot of success.
Yeah. I
don't know if it was like just I didn't articulate well there, or if because I know the Sharks, they've won 4 championships.
Of course, yeah.
But I caught this on TV the other day. I was like, did my ear just catch like that? I said they didn't have a lot of success.
Well, see,
that was a weird
that's what
question,
I heard too, Brent. But I thought it was like you meant like in the past couple years or so.
Yeah, maybe I did. That was a bad question. Just to let you know, like that was awful.
Hey, we're not gonna hit home runs every single time, man.
No, but I said like I don't understand why I would say I don't understand why that had even come out. Or again, like if I just didn't articulate it well, so it sounded like that, and I was trying to say something else. I don't know, it was bad. I was actually like the other night, I almost like changed it on TV. I was like, why did I even?
I can't believe you
why did I include that conversation?
I can't believe you didn't.
I was kind of like too late by the time I'd heard it. But
I got you.
I think I did follow it up on TV. Like, yeah, they have a drive for 5 because they won 4 titles. Like, there's no way I was thinking they didn't have success.
No,
I think it just came out. But
see, I think you just
and he actually did a great job with the question because he could have easily been like, what the hell are you talking about? They've been very good. Like, the whole question was based on, is it cool to wear the Sharks jersey?
Yes.
Yet it sounded like I said they hadn't had a lot of success.
Yeah.
That's some bad stuff. See, Hamby, I don't just make fun of you. I just poke fun of myself, too. That was really bad. Whatever that sounded like was bad. Anyway,
dude, I think you're allowed to, man. We all, I mean, you especially, like you always kill the game. So like, if you have one goal, it's fine.
The weird thing is, I'm just trying to figure out like why that came out.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I was trying to say something else and it just sounded like it, or I didn't. Like I'm trying to go back to that because I didn't catch it in real time.
Sure.
I caught it on the recorded version.
It definitely like went across my ears. My opinion was that you thought like the past couple of years, even though I don't, they have been.
And
like,
maybe
decent, right?
they haven't been as good as they've been in the past. So they're trying to get it right. But it was really weird. It caught me. Now listen, since I'm hammering people, I just did thank Liv for catching all like Hamby's mistakes. Sure. But maybe Liv shouldn't have included it in the questioning part. She could have covered for me there. I'm like, hey Brent, you're an idiot.
Everyone's getting called out today, man. I can't wait till we'll have to do better. Probably a lot.
Well, you just helped me pick the Survivor team, so you'll get called out later if you didn't do well.
Yeah, I apologize.
And I got Oregon in the mix, too.
You pick Oregon, which is...
yeah, go Ducks tonight. For that one. Staying up late to see Go Ducks. We're in this one... like it was like a neighborhood one. These guys have since moved to like Kansas, but... This one's kind of interesting. It's like $10 to get into something. Mm-hmm. But you pick 2 on the first day.
Okay.
And if you miss, you can buy back in, but you got to pick 4.
Okay. So
on the next day.
You're picking 2 teams to win.
Well, no, every day. You got to go. So if you pick 2 on the first day and then you hit them, like so Ty got 2 right, then you got to pick 2 more today. and you keep going. But if you miss, you got to buy back in.
Which you had to do, right?
I had to buy back in, and I got to get 4 right today to stay in the game. Then I get back on track.
I gotcha.
So it's like,
okay.
And I always have to do the damn 4. Like, the Survivor things, I think I'm the worst at Survivor in football and in this. I'm not good at the Survivor ones.
Because, I mean, you got to take into account, like, number one, winning is the most important thing per time. But then also you got to take into account, like, the next games and stuff. But so for this one.
And you can't use them again.
Exactly.
Right?
So is that how it works?
Yeah, you can't use them again. So, like, obviously, like we mentioned, like Florida. Like, I'm not going to use Florida or Duke yet. Because, I mean, then I'll have no chance later on.
Correct.
But it's okay. But you got to get there.
You got to get there,
I did use, like, Alabama.
Yeah.
In Kentucky, because I'm like, well, I got to get there.
So then who cost you yesterday? Clemson? Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Yep.
And again, that's where you're taking a little bit of a shot. Do you know, like 12-5 could happen? Yeah, but I'm going to say, I like Clemson here.
For sure.
And it doesn't work.
It's wild, though. Every single year you get 12-5 at least. Every single year.
But did we get we didn't get 13-4. See, I feel like 13-4 has started to almost overtake the 12-5 thing. I don't know what the percentages are, but it feels like that 13-4 has been the one that's been hitting a little bit more in recent NCAA tournaments. Statistically, I bet it's still 12-5.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there was a run on 12-5s for like a decade, and then I feel like there recently hasn't been as much on the 12-5 stuff, and then we got it, of course. Yes, and we almost got it again, by the way, with Michigan. Michigan almost lost that game. That was tight right down to the wire.
Yeah, and then speaking of 12-5, obviously, I mean, you have the 12-5 that the 12 is actually the favorite. We talked about earlier in the show is Colorado State is the favorite over Memphis.
Oh, yeah.
So that's,
which is nuts. It's just so crazy.
That's your favorite for a 12 right now.
All right, let's do this. Take a time out. We come back. Daniel Griffiths gives us another topic today. You can see what he had to write on actionsportsjacks.com. We'll talk about it as it pertains to the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL. That's the noon hour still to come. We take you until 1 o'clock here on a Friday to finish off a fun week around here with spring break, the NCAA tournament, the week after the Players' Championship, and a little bit of a lull in the football world, but baseball on the horizon. Next week we do our picks there. We got Shock Your Mock around the corner. Don't forget to send that in, sports@actionnewsshacks.com. Get involved with Shock Your Mock 2025. We're back from Strings Sports Brewery in Jax Beach right after this on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network. It's one of the hot spots in the area.
Welcome you to Strings Sports Brewery out at the beach. Big crowd on hand tonight. The fans are here.
And now, the newest hot spot at the beach is open. Strings Sports Brewery in Jax Beach has opened its doors with rave reviews.
We're going to be fans forever.
Cozy up to the bar. Grab a seat in the sports-themed restaurant, or grab a seat outside and feel that breeze coming off the beach as the weather warms. Just like the original location in Springfield, try the popular beer menu and come for lunch or dinner too, because the food is fantastic. He's got some exciting news heading into 2025 as well. Christian Kirk. It's where we hosted Jags Report Live in the football season, and the Strings Sports Brewery staff can't wait to host you. Hey, welcome back here to Strings Sports Brewery. And if you haven't checked out the new location in Jax Beach, which many of you have, you got to do it. Strings Sports Brewery, now with 2 locations in Springfield, and now open in Jax Beach on Penman Road.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Shacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix.
All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, you can take 10% off any water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jags Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
I'm ready to show my hand, ready to take a stand. Wait on a sign above, and I am ready, ready. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. The crowns for the tape. I got it. Iconic. I'm built to win. Back to back, I do it again. I'm iconic. I'm one of a kind. I'm iconic. I'm built to win. I'm one of a kind.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, welcome back here to Strings Sports Brewery in Jax Beach. I get so used to saying Springfield. It rolls off the tongue. Jax Beach. We'll be in Springfield, by the way, next Thursday for another Sweet 16 round of the NCAA tournament, so you can join us there. We kind of opened the place with our show from 10 to 1 on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, Brent and Austin show. So we'll open it up, and things are getting rolling here. We get folks starting to jump in for some lunch and cozy up to the bar on a Friday, start the weekend early, and just put all the games on here inside all these different TVs. So getting ready to roll on day 2 of the NCAA tournament 2025, and the Florida Gators are the marquee game. Of course, for people locally, it won't be a marquee game, most likely, because we're the anticipation it will be a blowout. The early games are pretty good, though, and it starts with a nice one. Baylor and Mississippi State in that 8-9 game, so we could get rolling with a good one there. Robert Morris, Alabama, I can't imagine is going to be great. That one rolls at 12:40. That 1:30 game, Lipscomb and Iowa State, and then the 2 o'clock game with Colorado State Memphis. That might be the nice window here, because those could be really good. And I think people think Lipscomb's going to give Iowa State a run, even though that's a 14-3 game. And as Austin's mentioned many times, Colorado State's actually a favorite as a 12 seed over Memphis. So we'll have some good ones here all afternoon leading into that Florida Gators game. We've got coverage, by the way, of course, with CBS 47 and Fox 30 and Action Sports Jax on TV all weekend long. Don't forget to check out Action Sports Jax primetime, 10:30 on Fox 30, 11:30 on CBS 47. Looks like we've got Coach Perkins I just saw walking in, the UNF men's basketball assistant. He's going to check out some hoops here at Strings Sports Brewery as well. So great spot to see. If you haven't been yet to the location on Penman Road, you got to check it out. Fantastic setting for some fun on a Friday and every day of the week. I got to try some of the new beer. I might be taking that home this weekend. Shouldn't be doing that, but I might be taking home some of that, especially after smelling it for the last couple of hours and everything that they're pumping out here. Okay, we always visit with Daniel Griffiths' topic of the day, usually most of every day here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. You can find it at actionsportsjacks.com. And Nick, I don't know if Hamby gave you the one here to do, but there's an image that goes along with this, or I think I sent it to your email. But that actually isn't a Hamby one. I think I sent it to Nick's email too. So we'll show this in a bit. But here's what Daniel Griffiths writes about. The Jaguars have one of the NFL's youngest rosters. And when I say that, I guess what does that mean to you?
I mean, see, like, I don't know the numbers in front of me, Brent. Like, it doesn't.
Well, I'll give you numbers in a minute.
Okay, please. Youngest roster to like a middle tier in terms of age isn't off by that much, right? So yeah, it means obviously they have a lot more youth, probably more draft picks and like that. But like at the end of the day, I think the difference between number 1 to like number 15 isn't that much.
Okay, so you and I think are on the same page here.
Okay,
and I feel like sports has gotten so much younger in general. I feel like you take a look at Trevor Lawrence. He's 25 years old. He's got 50 games played in the league. You take a look at 24-year-old Trayvon Walker, and he's played for 3 seasons now, which is, 50 games. I don't think he's missed one. Maybe he's missed one. But so these guys are, maybe they're young by age because a 24, 25-year-old person is pretty young, but not necessarily by experience. And I go back to an example. This was a few years back now, whenever the Miami Dolphins made the playoffs, and I think they had the youngest team in the league, or maybe the second youngest team in the league. And it hit me then. I was like, okay, well, is it just a number? Like, does it really matter? Or are we missing experience versus the age? And so, I don't mind the idea of saying, okay, where are the Jags? But it's a young person's game. It's a young league overall. And I don't think necessarily because you're young, it's a good enough excuse to be bad or to be mediocre. That's really my point. It's like, okay, they're young, because what it tells me, when you tell me somebody's young, a team's young, I'm going to be like, okay, well, that means they're probably in a rebuilding mode, or let's be patient at where this can go or will go.
Yep.
I don't think we should, based on the Jags being where they're at age-wise. They've got plenty of experience, plenty of talented players. That cannot be a reason why you win 7 or 8 games this year, is because you say, oh, we're young. I ain't buying that.
And you said it, man, because that's the difference. There's age and they're that side of the coin, and the other side, it's experience, right? Because you hear the term young, I'm like, okay, well, they're battle tested, right? Like they haven't been through the ringer. Well, a lot of these guys have. So then it comes down to experience, what this team has. So yeah, I think we want to say youth and age as sometimes as that outlier, that excuse maker. That's not the case here, because it comes down to experience, and this team has it.
All right, so a couple of things that I find interesting from Daniel Griffiths. Again, you can find it at actionsportsjacks.com. It's paint. That one painter brings us paint the play, or paint the player. In this case, paint the players. That one painter, First Coast, and more on those guys in just a moment. But the average age of the Jaguars roster right now as it sits, and again, this is going to get younger because of the draft.
Yeah, they have a lot of draft picks.
26 and a half years old. That's 6th youngest in the NFL.
Okay.
Again, Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., Trayvon Walker, Tyson Campbell, they've all played a lot of football now in the league. I guess with the exception of BTJ. He's played just 1 season, but obviously it didn't matter based on his performance. A couple of other things that I find interesting from Daniel here in this article. How does the Jags' positional spending compare to the rest of the league? So he morphed it into that. He says, oddly enough, despite spending big at some key positions last offseason, the Jaguars are not top 10 spenders at any given position this year, based on this year's dollars. The position they rank the highest would be edge, spending $35 million in 2025. That's good for 11th in the National Football League.
Interesting.
To me, I wonder how much that is an indication more so than age of where you fit in the NFL. Do you need to be a top 10 spender at a certain position to showcase we got this level blue chipper?
Yeah. I mean, it's really a great call, and obviously I don't have the numbers in front of me.
And again, contracts vary, right? I mean, you might have made more last year versus this year based on
contract
pushing
vary.
stuff out.
I mean, look no further than the Eagles, right? Look at how much they spent on Saquon Barkley. He's the highest paid running back now, and for good reason. Christian McCaffrey, a couple years ago would have been when he got his contract, was one of the highest paid running backs in the league and took him to a Super Bowl as well. So, yeah, I mean, I get what we're trying to go down here. I just feel like there's no rhyme or reason. Obviously, the quarterback has to mean something, right? And we always say, like, if you spend that money on the quarterback, you have a finite time for that rookie contract of the quarterback to spend money other places.
Yep.
And then the hope is that eventually that quarterback becomes your franchise guy and you got to pay him accordingly. But I'm not sure there's like one position or a couple positions where it's like, we got to spend money here because this is what gets us a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, that's. The money is a little bit interesting based on year to year. Okay, how about this? Jaguars offensive spending as a whole ranks 29th. 29th. Now, they just shed the contracts of Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. Mm-hmm. Just 2 offensive players are set to have a cap hit larger than $10 million. That's Walker Little and Trevor Lawrence. I would ask you this. Yeah. Are the Jags invested enough on the offensive side based on that?
So here's the thing, and it's a legitimate question, and I think the numbers would say, well, probably not, especially with an offensive-minded coach like Liam Cohen. Now, you do have youth on your side. You have Brian Thomas Jr., who's on his rookie deal. You probably have some more weapons in the draft that that you're going to get that will be on the rookie deals. But at the same time, it's like, okay, so you invested all this money on your defense, and what do we have to show for it?
Mm-hmm.
True. Where'd you finish last year in terms of team defense? So that to me is the more alarming thing is look at how much money then I guess you invested in defense, and is it paying dividends? Right now it's not.
By the way, a couple other things from Daniel Griffiths, as I don't like to read the whole article, but I think some of these numbers are interesting. Jags ranked 20th at quarterback, 20th at running back, 18th at receiver, 25th at tight end, and 23rd along the defensive line in positional spending. Again, they're not breaking the bank at those spots. Again, per this year for 2025, some of these contracts look bigger than they might even play this season alone, in fairness. The Jaguars are set to spend a little bit more along the defense, but not by much. In total, the Jags are set to spend the 21st most on defense. So 20th on offense. 29th on offense. 21st on defense.
Which I thought would have been higher then.
Yeah. So they are in a... I'm not sure how to interpret all this. Are they in a good spot, or are they not in an aggressive enough spot?
I mean, what it looks like is that they're in a spot to go ahead and pull the trigger and make some moves. That's to me.
I know, but
what
they
the
just
numbers
missed
say.
The spending window.
I know, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, they didn't really do that, but at the same time, I understand it because, well, you don't want to just blow your money in free agency, especially with the new regime coming in, Brent. You still have to lay the groundwork before you can buy the nice appliances, right? And that's what I feel like this team is doing now.
I will tell you this, based on these numbers, again, and they will shift, okay? Daniel brings up a good point here. He said the Jags are set to lead the NFL in edge rusher spending in 2027, right now as it projects. Now, that could change across the league depending on what happens, and that includes when they sign Trayvon Walker. But I would suggest these numbers at where they are statistically, where they are with the youth and all this stuff, this would really indicate a path for them to sign Trayvon Walker now, because it gives them an open door. You said to spend well, they didn't do it as much in free agency with these blockbuster moves. Well, save the blockbuster for your own guy. I mean, all the tea leaves keep adding up to okay, it's time to sign Trayvon Walker.
Without a doubt. And that's, I think, the biggest point here is that if you're going to invest what you can afford to invest in some guys, invest in your own, right? Invest in the guys that you drafted, invest in the guys that have come up through the system, invest in those types of players, because I feel like those are your foundational players.
No doubt about it. Check more out on that. Daniel Griffiths writes about it on ActionSportsShacks.com. We talk about it each and every week, and it's brought to you by That One Painter First Coast. It is paint the play, or paint the player, or in this case, paint the players for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And make sure you check out thatonepainter.com/first-coast and meet the Schlicks Up family as well. When you do that, they are locally owned with thatonepainter.com/first-coast. first-coast. And here's why you want to join with that one painter, First Coast. They love what they do. Stress-free and mess-free service for you. That's a beautiful thing at your home. Respectful time and communication. You love that when you hire somebody. You want that communication there and respectful of your time based on your busy life and value-based pricing on top of all that as well. So make sure you look them up. That one painter, First Coast. Thatonepainter.com/first-coast. Or you can call 904-643-3025. 904-643-3025. All right, we're underway. Baylor and Mississippi State. We've got a ball game here at Strings Sports Brewery here in Jax Beach. And day 2 underway in the NCAA tournament with this first game. I do wish they would just tip everything off like 12. I wish it was like a tea time. It would be like 12:15, 12:25, 12:35.
Yep.
Like I kind of feel, I wish they would. Now they got to spread it out, and the way they do it, you're going to see bits and pieces of every game,
of course.
But the reason why they can spread it out now that way is because they do have it on the True TVs and the TNTs and everywhere else.
Yep.
I think it's almost like, man, it'd be almost more fun if there were 4 games going on at once.
No,
we see less of that.
No, we definitely see less of that. And shout out to True TV too. I feel like they make their money
right here
because I can't name one other show on True TV.
Nobody can.
So I feel like
it's the annual conversation.
Is it really? I didn't know that was.
It's like where
narrative.
Like how do you find it?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yep.
Now, smartly enough, at least I don't know what you have, but like on DirecTV. It's now like right in order. It's like 245, 246, 247, where you find like TNT, TBS, and True TV.
Oh,
so they put them right there, and then obviously the others will be on CBS, which everybody can find easily.
Of course.
But that's like one of the biggest mysteries. Like, okay, what channel is this? It's right there, right in the middle. So they've smartly done that, and I don't know if they've done that on all the different carriers, but I know like we have DirecTV in the office, and I got DirecTV at home, so I know it's right, boom, boom, boom. Right in order, which at least that part's a little easier.
Nice, yeah. I think because I have, I'm paying an arm and a leg for YouTube TV because the rates keep going up. But the cool thing about them, not saying it's worth it, but the cool thing about them is the fact that like if you type in you go on the app and then it'll just bring up all the games right away. So like they're all right next to each other. And then if you want
that is pretty nice.
Then if you want to go like the picture in picture or the picture like you can do that too.
You got it all right there.
I got it all.
The more games, the merrier.
For 100 and some change, that's right there.
It's worth the price of admission. Is what it sounds like.
YouTube TV, cut the check. I'm doing some free publicity for you guys.
All right. Well, as we get this thing rocking and rolling, let's take a time out here on the Brent Austen Show. We'll come back, put a bow on this week, take you until 1 o'clock. Oh, by the way, mention the Jacksonville Sharks. Shark Bites is a show that they do each and every week, and we are carrying that now. Today we're going to run it in a repeat mode 1 to 2 o'clock. So it's a half-hour show, 1 to 1:30, and 1:30 to 2 o'clock. You can see Coach Gibson and the Jacksonville Sharks as they debut the season tonight. We'll have a more standard time, a little bit different today because they're playing a Friday game. They'll usually play on Saturdays. So we'll show you where you can catch that each and every time on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Again, where do you find the network? Very simple. ActionSportsJax.com. Easiest place to do it. Action News Jax app if you're on the go. If you're in the living room, Action News Jax Now app. You can watch it on all your smart TV devices, no matter where you get them. Killer Tofu says the March Madness app is great. You know what? It is pretty good. I downloaded that and updated that, and that's where I watched some of it yesterday. That one is a pretty good place to get it to. One thing now, you can always find stuff.
Oh, without a doubt.
Just
it's always there, man.
Whatever's happy for your appetite. And that includes this show. You can find us wherever you want. Don't forget the podcast goes up each and every day at 1:30 in the afternoon. And so for your drive home from work, wherever you're at, a walk in the neighborhood, a workout at the gym, you can listen to the show in podcast form each and every day starting at 1:30 wherever you find your podcast. We'll be back from Strings Sports Brewery in Jax Beach as NCAA Tournament Day 2 gets rolling. And the Florida Gators play a little bit later on tonight. This is the Brent Austen Show. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick. GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnicht has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnicht. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnicht. GMC, we are professional grade.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Krasanovich's under-23 men's team. Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue, as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season.
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the note for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants.
We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter.
Save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, Liv just stopped by as well. I mean, she's passing through, and her Huskies pick Aspen See her in the car right now.
Oh, yeah.
And she's heading out. She just stopped by Strings. We saw Coach Perkins from UNF. We're starting to see a lot of folks pile in and watch on the big screen, of course. And this will continue throughout the day and the weekend, of course. Great spot to be able to watch the NCAA tournament, spring break weekend as well. And hopefully, we think the weather's actually going to warm up a lot more over the next couple of days and into next week. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. It's the Brent and Austin Show each day, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. Good to be out here at Strings. Monday we'll be at Nimnik Buick GMC, by the way, for Committed to the Uncommitted scholarship presentation. And then on Thursday of next week, we will be back at Strings Sports Brewery, but the Springfield location. So you can join us once again for lunch around there when they open up. We'll be there at 10. They open up around 11, lunchtime, whenever you find it appropriate. And we will be there for that. All right, the big story around the NCAA tournament is not a buzzer beater or anything else. It is an upset with McNeese State.
Yes.
But it's a guy by the name of Amir Khan.
Yes.
How many points did he score? None.
0, Brent.
He's the first student manager to get an NIL deal.
And go make that plural. He has 3 NIL deals now. He's got Tick Pick. He has Insomnia Cookies. And I forgot what the other one was, but it's a bigger one as well. I can go look that up.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, just kind of a big one.
Yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
So this all started because he's got the boombox entrance leading the team out, right?
So as far as their entrances, yeah. So because you know how it goes with teams like managers.
Yeah.
They can be these folk heroes. They can be kind of like the mascot and everything. And this kid has embraced it. He's got a giant boombox that he brings out. He gets the team hyped up, and he kind of leads the team out to the court with said boombox. And in doing that, he kind of became just like this legendary dude at the university, so much that the cheerleaders are actually rocking socks with his face on it. And then obviously now he's managed to parlay this into 3 NIL deals as well.
Yeah, and so this happened before the tournament.
Correct.
This was already a thing.
No, hey, this isn't some flash in the pan. This guy's been famous in McNeese State for a while now.
But the wild thing is he's going to be famous for the weekend.
Correct.
As well, and they're getting their money's worth because McNeese ends up winning, and they pull the upset. They hang on. They actually were blowing Clemson out, and then they hang on. And so now you get another 48 hours of this. That's what the NCAA tournament can be all about.
Well, and I fear so there was some kind of, because I watched the game a little bit, and once again, I didn't really know who this kid was until I was watching the game. And I guess there was some kind of controversy though, where usually he has his own spot that he sits with with the team. But for the tournament regulations, he couldn't sit in his usual spot.
Okay.
So there was some kind of discrepancies there. But nevertheless, dude, if McNeese wins the next game, I mean, this kid might be able to retire with some of the NIL stuff I feel like he's going to make.
This is really cool, though. It's good stuff. And you know what? These are the stories that you do get to bring to life, right? These are the stories. And this is why the NCAA tournament still, even with the money involved with it, and money is a huge part of this tournament, by the way. From UNF to JU, they get money from this tournament, okay, even though they're not in it. And I was saying it the other day, I think it was Seth Davis, the important part of oh, shoot, who was it? Maybe Mount St. Mary? Did they end up winning that? I think they did. They won the play-in game.
Yeah.
Well, they get double the check.
Yep.
Because they're playing 2 games. So that play-in game carries a lot of importance for those smaller teams. Maybe not Texas.
Yep.
Right? But or UNC, but it does for a Mount St. Mary, or when UNF played in that game a decade ago, you get double the check. But the cool part about this tournament is it still has a genuine sports nature to it.
Yeah.
Even though there's money infiltrating it. And I don't know if we always feel that way in sports. It still feels like there's always a feel-good story around the NCAA tournament. Not just one. You'll find a team that we latch onto. There'll be that Cinderella story. In this way, shape, and form, it comes with Amir Khan, and he's a student manager that gets highlighted, and that's one to rally around. So it's an oddity in sports where you don't have this, I don't think, in college football, is my point. It's a money game in college football. There's so much money in it. It feels almost professional. Well, there's a lot of money in the NCAA tournament. It doesn't always feel like it, though, because of the stories and moments like this and what we'll get over the next couple of weeks.
And this is why this tournament is so great, Brent, right? Because it gets to showcase the underdogs. It showcases the smaller schools. Like, you don't get this in football.
No.
Right? Like, we're not going to see, like, I don't know, we're not going to see Mercer football have a feel-good story. Like, you might see it, like, on College Game Day, but you're not going to see it, like, in a tournament setting or in a bowl game by any means. And, like, this is one of the beauties of the NCAA tournament. I mean, look no further than last year. Remember what the story was last year? We probably already forgot about him. You remember the guy from Indiana State, Robbie Amelia or whatever? Yeah, like, everyone was all about him.
Doing?
Yeah, right? I had to Google him. So he transferred. Dude, took the money, Brent.
I remember he was transferring.
So we went to St. Louis. And his last game dropped 22 points, 8 rebounds against Arkansas State, but not,
probably got paid to go to St. Louis a bit.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was watching that game last night, Michigan, and I'm like so out of touch with like everything outside of maybe Florida basketball and a little bit of the SEC stuff that you see. But I was like, oh yeah, Dusty May at Michigan, right?
Yeah.
FAU.
Yep.
And that whole team that had, dispersed, if you will.
Correct.
By the way, Dusty, that shirt was a little tight, I thought. I mean,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Maybe get a little bit, like, half a size up.
Breathe a little bit there.
I mean, there's enough pressure here. But anyway, it's just interesting to see, like, where those guys that were the stories that have now cashed in and ended up landing. And that was a little bit of the story, I think, around Kansas even being bounced out, because they had the Michigan kid that had done well there, transfers over to Kansas the last couple of years. And he hasn't really, Dickinson, I think it is, and hasn't really done much.
Doesn't do that well.
Or they haven't done much in the tournament. So, I mean, in a weird way, like, you bring up the Indiana State kid, I bring up a little bit the FAU stuff. I think there's a fun element of the NIL. I think everything's so like, oh, I hate it, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. But I think there's a fun element to kind of follow the path of a kid like that from Indiana State to see where he ended up. Which would be nice, though, is if he ended up with someone that was playing again in the dance.
Yeah,
because St. Louis doesn't make it. So if he's playing for Baylor, for instance, and we're getting to watch him today, like, that would be kind of a cool. Like, I think there's a cool element of that potentially with that NIL and all the transfer stuff that we do have.
Well, and it's almost ironic, right? Because a lot of people want to sit here and say that NIL kind of took away the spirit of collegiate sport.
Yeah.
Right? And it kind of ruined the game and it made them professionals. But at the same time, NIL is really celebrating a guy like Amir Khan, which was what sports are all about, right? Like you have a manager, you have a feel-good story. Obviously, the team's rallied around this dude. The team loves him. And guess what? Just for him bringing passion, enthusiasm to the team, he's getting rewarded for that. And that's how it should be. So, like, I understand NIL. We always kind of turn a nose to it. Maybe we feel a certain type of way about it. But sometimes it works out for a great way. And Amir Khan, at McNeese, it's a great way.
This is actually the true.
That's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, this is the true spirit of the NIL. Like, this is what it's. You have a brand.
Yep.
Or you create a brand, and you get to make a little something off it. I mean, again, I'm sure he's not getting like millions and millions of dollars. I don't know what he's making, but you're getting something off it. Like, that's cool. Like, that's entrepreneurial, right? Sure. That's kind of the American way, if you will. But it's morphed, and we know what it's morphed into, and it's morphed into the headline we gave you earlier today, where Louisville is going to spend $8 to $10 million on their transfer portal players next year. All right. Well, this one's way better.
This is way.
So it's pretty fun. But we'll keep an eye now on McNeese State. They become I think they probably are the Cinderella. Drake won. We'll see if anybody wins today. But right now, McNeese State's kind of that Cinderella.
Absolutely.
Which is interesting too, because they actually come with a coach. Will Wade, who had gotten into trouble like at LSU, now it looks like he's going to be like the NC State guy. That's another thing going on. Like, there's some like open door, like, did you see that? Like, I mean, they're talking blatantly about like, everybody knows what's going on. I'm going to be the next NC State coach, basically.
Yeah.
Then the Maryland guys, like, I don't know what the hell's going on at our place, because our AD's leaving, and if we're going to compete, we need more of this and that. Like, a lot of interesting news conferences the last couple of days.
Yeah, and I understand transparency and everything, but like, dude, if I'm a player in this tournament, like, this is my life. Right, like, this is what I played basketball for. Like, I'm probably not going to go to the NBA and make millions of dollars. Like, I have this tournament to have fun and do my thing. And I feel like, all these reports, everything, it takes away from some of that.
Yeah, I think so too. My first thought was, okay, wait a minute. This guy's here and he's bringing a lot of positivity to McNeese State.
Yeah.
But one of his comments there was, well, I told these guys, I was like, let's all move on together. It's like, my gosh, I mean, do you have to show and tell that you're using the school to benefit yourself? Like, I mean, golly,
man.
How about a little love for McNeese State, which I'm sure he gave plenty of it in the news, and they're getting it, but it's just kind of funny the way it read. I mean, at least the way the headline read. A couple other things to get to before the end of the show today. How about LeBron James' son, Bronny, man,
against the Bucks.
Points.
He tried to take to Giannis as well. It was crazy. Listen, he's a second round pick, Brent. Right, and I don't have the stats in front of me. I can't imagine a lot of second-round picks, especially as rookies, have any kind of impact on any team whatsoever. But for every reason, when you're LeBron James' son, and if you're Stephen A. Smith or anybody, you're going to have an opinion about it. And it's probably a negative opinion, right? It's about how your dad got you on the team. And, yeah, maybe there is some truth to that. But, honestly, I never really lost sleep about it because he's a second-round pick.
Yeah.
I think it'd be the same thing if, Doug Peterson drafted his own son in the 7th round or 6th round because, he wanted him to come play. I'm not going to lose sleep about it. So I thought it was really cool last night when Bronny was the leading scorer of the Lakers. And yeah, granted, a lot of people were out and everything. And
they lost.
And they were down. Yeah, it wasn't really much of a competitive game. But, the kid still got some run. And the kid still showcased what he can do. And no, he's not going to be his dad. And let's be honest, he's never going to be his dad. But it was cool that you saw him a little bit. If you watched any highlights of the game last night, that you felt like he's finally starting to gain confidence now and come into his own.
It's been an interesting story. I haven't followed the Bronny James stuff too much. But he ends up playing 30 minutes yesterday with everybody out, and he scores 17. But he's been up and down between the G League and the Lakers. Been kind of an interesting roster shuffle at times.
Yeah.
That whole thing. But, I mean, cool for him. It also goes a little bit to my theory, and I'm not trying to be too snarky here, but I've always had this belief almost anybody can score 16 points in the NBA.
Yeah.
And it kind of
how many 3 points did he have last night?
He was 2 for 4.
Okay, so I think he's got 5 or 6 on the season. He scored more 3-pointers in one season than Ben Simmons has in his entire career.
There you go.
So, hey,
there you go.
It's all about perspective, Brent.
So, anyway.
Sorry to Ben Simmons getting just random shots. But.
Scoring 16, I guess, can happen pretty easily. Or 17 in this battle. But, that's cool that you looked at it that way. It's kind of a cool moment for that. Listen, LeBron's done a lot for the game. I'm kind of with you. I'm okay with it. And I guess I am kind of with you. I didn't mind Josh Peterson being here. I didn't really mind even the Tebow thing. I know you could spin it. I get it. People opportunities. But I guess in a way we turn our eyes on some of that because we know that's the way the world works. I mean, there's somebody working in your company probably because they knew somebody. And they, in essence, maybe took somebody else's opportunity. Not to say they're bad at the job or anything, but they probably took somebody else's opportunity because they were able to get in line. I mean, I think that's just so normal that I don't find it that surprising,
It happens in everyday life. It happens in every job. Why wouldn't it happen in NBA?
Yeah, and then listen, I mean, sometimes I guess you got to ask yourself, okay, did you benefit from that or this or whatever somewhere along the way because of X connection? It's who you know, right? Everybody likes to say, well, Bronny knew somebody pretty big.
I guess so. Yes.
He knew somebody pretty big. A couple other things to hit on before we get out of here. The Steelers and this Aaron Rodgers stuff, how long are they going to wait? Are they going to be left at the altar? Fields is gone, obviously.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers would be a big helper. He wants Minnesota. It sounds like they ain't biting. They have moved on publicly.
Looking like J.J. McCarthy.
I mean, publicly they basically said it like J.J. McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where the Giants are in all this.
Yeah.
But I mean, when are we going to know about Aaron Rodgers? And I guess this goes along to how tired is the public of Aaron Rodgers? Are we more tired of Aaron Rodgers than we were of Brett Favre?
It's a great call, Brent. And it's funny because me and Hammy did this exercise a little bit a few days ago, where if you looked at Aaron Rodgers' numbers from this past season, and you put Trevor Lawrence's name on those numbers, we would be ecstatic right now. We'd be celebrating it. But obviously being Aaron Rodgers and being that high of a standard, it's almost like it was a lost season last year. Maybe that was the case in terms of the overall record, right? But I don't think it was the case in terms of stats. But then you look at it, it's like, okay, is it worth it? And that's what it comes down to, is waiting at the altar for hopefully your bride to come down the aisle, ayahuasca driven and everything. Is it worth it? And I'm going to be honest, Brent, I don't think it is anymore.
Yeah.
Because once again, we're not just talking about the stats. We're not talking about the arm talent, the IQ. We're talking about everything that it brings off the field as well. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, are up there in like the top 5 best run organizations maybe in franchise, in NFL history. Like you think of Mike Tomlin as kind of a good dude. You think of the organization as a classy organization, and there's just a certain way that they do things. And I think waiting on Aaron Rodgers to make a decision and maybe revolving around some other free agent guys and not going after them because it's Aaron Rodgers, it's very uncharacteristic, I feel like, for the Steelers. Now, do the Steelers need a little bit of uncharacteristic moves, right, to try to push them up to the next echelon? Maybe that's the case. I'm just not sure if Aaron Rodgers is going to be the guy for you.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And again, I think it's wild to see the career arc. Rodgers was a guy that was so miffed at the whole Brett Favre situation, and maybe rightfully so. It's like, all right, dude, I mean, what are we doing here? And the organization got miffed at it, and it led to a waiting game. That's how he started his career, like a 4-year waiting game.
For sure.
And then to see the carbon copy of Jordan Love have to do almost the same thing. And then to, in retrospect, at this point in his career, do very much what Favre was doing. Hesitation of where to play, do I want to play, all these different things, how much is left. And now here we are with Rodgers. And almost follow the career arc as well to Green Bay, to the Jets, and flirt with at least Minnesota. I mean, it's fascinating to see that part, like the history rewritten in such a similar way. And this dude was on the recipient of it. And again, I'm not even hammering him for it. I just think it's kind of ironic, and I think we all have. I mean, it's an easy irony to draw, but I wonder now, we're going to be recency bias, right? And Rodgers is very polarizing based on his beliefs, based on the fact that he's in your face all the time on Pat McAfee show and everything else. Yeah. So he's a polarizing figure, and it's the freshest thing. So I think right now, if I ask the question, is the public more fatigued on Rodgers, or were they more fatigued on Brett Favre's situation back in the day? They're going to hands down say Rodgers. And maybe it's just based on our social media world and everything else. But just to remind you, and you know that area well, and you were around that, I mean, people were really fatigued on the whole Favre thing year after year after year as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it many times on the show. When Favre did all that he did, and he went to New York, then he goes to Minnesota, that created a civil war between Packers fans. And there was the Favre fans, and then there was the Packers fans. To me, though, what I can't believe, Brent, is I always felt like Aaron Rodgers, when he was at his peak in Green Bay, was universally liked. I felt like he played on a team in Green Bay where, let's be honest, the Green Bay Packers are not really hated, right? I think a lot of people respect Lambeau. They respect their fan base. They're pretty easygoing. They're friendly. For the most part, he had a great situation where I felt like he was universally liked, and especially because what you compared him with was Tom Brady, who, won all the time. And it was people were so sick and tired of seeing Brady do his thing. It was all right, I'm on Team Aaron Rodgers. So you had Rodgers become just kind of like the golden child, I feel like, for the NFL for a while. And then all of a sudden, whether it's, with COVID and that whole thing, or whether it's with, the off the field distractions, somewhere along the lines, he became the most hated guy in the NFL. Yeah. And that stuck with him now. And I think that's still going to stick with him. And I think that's kind of a big reason why teams whether it's the Vikings or other suitors are nah, we like what we got already. We don't need Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's a fascinating deal. I mean, most of it's like a psychology, almost a sports fan psychology, and we'll see where it ends up. I think he's going to end up, obviously, in one of the two places, it feels like, if they're waiting this long for him. Hey, last one before we get out of here on a Friday. Hope everybody's getting ready for a big weekend in Jacksonville or wherever you are listening, by the way. we didn't talk about this one, but Byron Leftwich earlier this week set to join the staff of Deion Sanders in Colorado.
Yeah.
The Leftwich thing has been wild. We talked about it a lot during the season, or at the tail end of the season, where he wasn't even in the, even in the league. And someone wrote about him at the end of the season. Like, well, where did that come from, right?
Yeah.
Forgot about Leftwich. He's not even around after being a head coaching candidate. Then all of a sudden he gets the goofy interviews with like New England, I think somebody else.
Yep.
And now he ends up back in the game with Deion in Colorado. So another interesting arc and development for Leftwich. And that might be a good fit with him in Colorado. We'll see.
It's an extremely interesting arc because I always feel like Colorado, I don't want to call it like the island of the misfit toys. But like,
it's a little bit.
But you have you got guys like Warren Sapp is over there.
Yeah.
Who's the Terrell Owens was like on the sidelines for a bit, I feel like.
And there have been a lot of guys rumored to be on that staff.
Yeah. Just kind of come and go. But listen, I think when you cultivate that kind of environment to invite those players, it makes it fun, right? So I'm excited for Byron Leftwich because I feel like of all the places to go at the collegiate level, that might be the best suitor for you just because it's so fun to go there.
Yeah, and kind of remake yourself. And if you do that in the college game and they have some success, now maybe he gets a college gig.
Correct.
Maybe it's getting the college gig that eventually gets him back in the NFL.
Yeah.
But Byron's still a young guy.
Yeah.
So, he could, so that move is interesting. What's fascinating about Colorado is obviously Deion has been committed. There was a flirtation, of course, with more the media and maybe Jerry Jones, everybody else, about could he come over. But he seems very committed to Boulder, even after his son leaves and sons leave and Travis Hunter and all that. Can they keep it cool without those guys? Can they keep it cool? I think even more so with Travis Hunter because he was the cool piece that you were able to get to Jackson State. You had success he becomes a little bit of a Pied Piper. Yeah. And then you bring him to Colorado. Well, that's a big-time player. And then, of course, Shedeur Sanders does his thing and everywhere else. But can you be as cool without those guys that are going to go maybe in the top 5 of the draft?
It's a great call because in the beginning, Colorado, they were like the cool thing. They were the new thing, the fashionable thing, right? And now you're losing some of your best players. Can you re-up? Right, because to re-up, you got to be able to win games. And they won some games, but do they have the resume to say, hey, you're a 5-star guy, come play for us because we can promise you this? I'm not quite sure, and then time will tell what kind of recruiter Deion Sanders is. Real quick, Brett, Deion Sanders is threatening to release the source of the guy that said about his son not being, being kind of troublesome. Should he do it? He's threatening to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Of a scout, I guess that's, had something to say, and they took it and they roll with it, and obviously it was.
I think I would want to if I was Deion in that position as well. I think the high road is to not to.
I just think if you're a scout, you got to stand behind what you say. But
yeah. I don't know the full where he got it, how he got it, all that stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah, maybe. I mean, it'd be fascinating, but you ruin a guy's. Are you willing to do that? Is that?
Yeah.
But he's also trying to tear down your son, so. There's some emotion involved in that. I don't know what the correct answer stepping away from it is, which would we will see how that shakes out. All right, that's going to do it from Strings Sports Brewery here in Jacksonville. Also want to remind you to, recycle this weekend. Go check out republicservices.com, really recyclingsimplified.com, and you can see our spot and education on the best way to recycle here in Northeast Florida. Just check out recyclingsimplified.com. Hope you have a good weekend, everyone. It looks like a good one here in Northeast Florida, and good luck on the bracket the rest of the way. We will have the Jacksonville Sharks Shark Bites coming up right after this on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. We've got replay of Fleet and Footy. We've got a replay of Stadium Pulse. We got a lot of stuff happening, including High School Spring Media Day later today as well on the network. So a lot to get to all weekend long. And don't forget to hang out with us with Action Sports Jacks on TV as well. Action Sports Jacks primetime on CBS 47 and Fox 30 this weekend. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us at Strings Sports Brewery in Jax Beach. Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jags Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, you can take 10% off any water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Action Sports Jax is the biggest brand in Jacksonville, and we're excited to add another partnership for this team's biggest season yet. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is now the official streaming network of the Jacksonville Sharks for their 15th season.
The Jacksonville Sharks are your champions.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Strings Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Strings Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need Strings Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Strings Sports Brewery in Springfield.